Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is WWE Catch-Up Commentary, where we'll be talking about the last two episodes of Raw and SmackDown, respectively. Especially on the SmackDown side, given the episode that we just got done watching, I think it's going to be, for the most part, a pretty positive commentary. I feel like these last batch of episodes really haven't been that bad on the whole. So, Ashton, how are you feeling about it, man?
I'm feeling good about it for the most part. My notes aren't as thorough this time around as they have been previously, but I still have pretty much everything taken care of. The problem is it might be a little bit less kind of smooth. Like we might be a little bit more like all over the place. Like it won't be as like, let's focus on one story all the way through kind of thing like it usually is, because my notes aren't as thorough. But other than that, I feel like the WWE product has actually been pretty solid lately. I don't want to go as far as to say good. SmackDown maybe. Raw has been hit and miss, but I think more hit than miss lately. So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, I'd say I agree with your sentiments to the letter. Let's get right into this, man.
All right, well, I guess we can start on the February 3rd episode of Monday Night Raw, which opened with Randy Orton. This was the first episode of Raw after he assaulted Edge, and he comes out, and it looks like we're going to get a silent promo, but then he says, I can't do this, and he drops the mic and walks away. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, I think it's about what we expected. Again, not quite a silent promo, but I thought it was enjoyable nonetheless. Really no complaints here, and it keeps my interest in why exactly Orton did what he did, and we may find that out or we may not. I mean, only time will tell, but I liked it for what it was. What about you?
Well, as far as this promo in and of itself, Orton's work was decent. I can't, complain about it. I didn't think it was bad by any means. It was solid. But what I really thought made this segment shine was actually Jerry Lawler on commentary afterwards, talking about, oh man, when Randy Orton first walked out here, I thought that he was just pure evil, but now it seems like he has some remorse, and I don't know what to think. I thought that Lawler sold it really, really well on commentary.
Yeah, commentary. I mean, again, I don't want to be like overly glowing because commentary is always going to have like its pitfalls here and there. But
and the thing is, the pitfalls are almost all exclusively Lawler too, because the other two guys on commentary lately have been fucking Tom Phillips and Byron, and they're both exceptional. I mean, Tom Phillips is exceptional. Byron's great with Tom, but like the two of them, they don't really fuck anything up. It's really Lawler that does the flubs, but especially this week, I feel like Lawler also had a lot of the highlights. He's like the inconsistent one. Like he's either great or awful depending on what minute of the show it is.
Yeah, he's definitely consistently inconsistent, as we like to say. But yeah, I enjoyed commentary for these batch of episodes as well. It's great seeing Tom Phillips back on a main show where he belongs. Dude is talented as shit. So yeah, I agree with you. Commentary, I feel like for certain segments and angles, what comes to mind is this and Ricochet's recent push, which we'll get into. I think they really enhance the experience, which is what commentary to me is supposed to do. So big ups to them. And yeah, it was just good stuff all around, man.
Yeah, well then, on this week's episode of Raw, Orton showed up again, and he was supposed to be explaining why he attacked Edge, but guess who showed up but Matt Hardy? And it seemed so random, but Matt kind of explained about, like, how he hated Edge for so long, but when Edge was forced to retire, he let all that hate go, and he and Edge are cool now, and he kind of gets on Randy's case about, the way that he brutalized him the week before, and it seems like he was kind of getting to him, but then out of nowhere, of course, the RKO.
Yeah, see, man, this is why we're so adamant about WWE respecting its own history and embracing the idea of continuity and, like, this long-form linear storytelling. Because you get a segment like this, and I'm going to be honest, I've never really cared for Matt much throughout his career. The most I ever cared for him was Matt Hardy version 1, obviously, which I feel like got over with so many people. And then just, like around the 2006 period, where it was kind of a babyface, 2007 feuding with MVP, I was digging Matt as a babyface.
Was that the Mattitude era?
It might have been. But yeah, like I thought he was even close to a world title at that time. But other than that, I've never really historically cared for him that much. And yet this is a really good promo because it's history that either we tangentially know or we've directly experienced. And that's what makes it meaningful. And then Orton just to attack, it was great too, because, I think you even said in our Discord, which people can have access to for $3 a month on the TWitWoW Patreon, that you were really curious. You were really curious how Orton was going to respond to all this, because Matt just kept going, and he really told the entire story of his and Edge's relationship.
Yep.
So, again, this is why we affirm, this is why we're so adamant about use your history. For better or worse, it's
and
there.
Especially with WWE, because they have so much history. They've been around for 30 years, and that's just looking at Monday Night Raw. Raw itself is going on 30 years.
Exactly. I feel like when push comes to shove, if you're really struggling with like what narrative thread to cast in a particular feud, storyline, or whatever, you can always count on history to kind of maybe give you a path to carve out. And to use Matt in this way to keep the Orton Edge feud fresh while Edge is off TV, I thought was a stroke of brilliance. I really liked it. And it was great to see Matt in this kind of spot, even though he got, punked out by Orton, RKO, and then the one-man concerto.
And dude, I don't know if you heard this, but they actually originally planned for this to be the last thing Matt Hardy ever did in WWE. They were, he didn't re-sign his contract. They were going to let him go, but they actually are going to sign him to like a one day, or it'll be like a one-time payment kind of thing. He's got a match with Orton on Raw this coming week.
Interesting.
So yeah, this segment was received so well that they decided to keep him around at least one more week for that.
Yeah, dude, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, Matt killed it in his spot, delivering the promo. Orton being the guy to just, get heat and shit all over it. He did that well enough. And yeah, I'm honestly happy that, they're going to do this. Orton and Matt have the match next week, because I feel like, that'll be a proper send-off for Matt. And it'll give Orton a chance, to be heelish all over again. I hope Orton brings back the punt, personally. I hope he punts Matt off the product. And, and then we transition again, whoever's going to speak up for Edge until Edge is ready to speak for himself again. But I think Matt Hardy, especially given how over Matt Hardy still seems to be in 2020, which I will commend him for, to have that kind of staying power, it's really ingenious to use him this way. So, yeah, I've got nothing but good things to say about this segment. I thought it came off really well.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about Liv Morgan and Lana, because they've actually had matches on both of the episodes of Raw that we're going to be talking about. Not this week, but last week on the February 3rd episode, she beat her relatively quickly, and then Ruby Riott came out. And actually, I'm getting confused. They had matches 3 weeks ago and 2 weeks ago, but not this week. So I'm actually getting confused there. But Liv did beat Lana relatively quickly 2 weeks ago, not this week on the 3rd. And then Ruby Riott came out. It was Ruby Riott's return. We get to talk about that here. And we got almost like this face reunion with Ruby and Liv, but then Ruby immediately turns heel, attacks Liv, leaves her for Lana to attack too. Ruby Riott is back. She's feuding with Liv Morgan. She's a heel. Liv is a face. I love everything about this.
I'm ready for it. It's great to see Ruby back in the fold. I think she brings a certain energy to the division that was lacking. If Ruby had come along in any other era, I feel like we'd already be talking about how she's a former women's champion. And it's really just a shame that I think because of circumstances, whether injuries or we're in the midst of the Ronda Rousey era or what have you, that Ruby really hasn't gotten her due, that I think you and I would both agree that she is more than worth, given her talent level and her aesthetic and just everything. Like, I feel like she has her finger on the pulse of, how fucking wrestling works. You add on top of that the WWE video of her road back and getting that inside look. In this age of social media, where again we talk about history, WWE also makes history, on the social media with these more intimate looks. Ruby could be one hell of a babyface if they ever decide to turn her back, and actually not even turn her back, because she's been heel the whole time. But if they ever decide to give her a worthwhile babyface run, I feel like she could be immensely popular. I even said, and I know you disagreed with this at the time, but I even said that I feel like when Becky starts to wane a little bit, Ruby could really be that underdog type babyface, that outcast, that punk that really gets the big pops. To keep it in the realm of what we're talking about, I'm sorry to go so far out of bounds, but I do think this is amazing for both women. I think it's the perfect feud for Ruby to get back in the mix of things and get her feet wet. And I think it's a great feud for Liv that actually has substance, because the relationship with Lana was completely nebulous. Like, I know Liv like tweeted photos of them together, but it was like dun dun dun, like in a sarcastic way, like ooh, you know. But like Liv and Ruby have actual history that we've seen unfold, we've seen on TV, we've seen on Twitter, we've seen everywhere. This is a feud for Liv Morgan to really shine because she knows this person. She loved Ruby like a sister. They were best friends. And it's something that I legitimately care about, both women. Like, I want to know why Ruby did it. And she kind of gave an explanation, but not really. Like, I want her to go deeper. I want Liv to go deeper. You know, we talk about a women's revolution, Ashton, and giving these women time. It's not just match time. I would like the undercard women to get more mic time. Particularly with angles that actually, again, freaking matter. You know, because the people that do get mic time, like Lana's been getting a bit of mic time, that's not exactly an experiment that I would say has worked out. No. But I would want to see these two on the mic. Like you have to keep getting after it to me. As long as they're on the payroll and you plan on doing something with them, whether we like it or not, you got to keep hitting the drawing board then. Like that's a necessity if you're going to keep like these pieces in play. And I would like to see how these two do together on the mic. But like you, I'm psyched for this feud. I think Liv, I've mentioned to you before, I think I might have even said in a live reactions that somebody on Twitter, and I love this idea, said that Liv kind of has the aesthetic of Black Cat, Felicia Hardy from Marvel. They should kind of do a play on that doesn't violate copyright if they can. Ruby has, I mean, enough said about her look. Again, you know, the punk and stuff like that. You know, if we win or we riot, I love it.
Yes,
and,
God, yeah, I missed the hell out of that catchphrase. Fuck
yeah, and I mean Ruby. And this is the crazy thing. I feel like for as good as this must feel for Ruby, it's going to be even better for Liv because Ruby was having great fucking matches with two bad shoulders, and now they're repaired.
Yep.
And as she said in her video, which was a line that destroyed me in the best way, she said, wrestling will no longer be my distraction. It'll be what it's always been. It'll be what
it was always meant to be. Yeah.
What it was always meant to be, my purpose. Yep. So, yeah, I am so excited for this Ruby Riot, and I really hope she can go all the way this time. Like, honestly, I don't know if it was on Twitter or what. I was having conversations with somebody. I forget who it was, but I think, you know what? I think it was Dominique Adams who tweeted about, like, potential women's Money in the Bank winners, and again, I just put out Ruby's name because I would love to see her with that briefcase. Yeah. So, depending on the momentum she gets, I might go with her again this year, and I'll keep fucking going with her. And this isn't like a joke campaign.
Well, and dude, here's the interesting thing to me is I almost wonder if the reason the WWE didn't push her harder in the first place was because they knew about the shoulder, and they didn't want to put a title on her knowing that she was basically like going to have to leave any moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she was a ticking time bomb. Like her shoulder could have exploded. You know, they didn't know when she was going to get surgery. So to me, this is like, oh, well, you have no excuses anymore. You had an excuse before and we just didn't know about it, but now you have no excuses. Ruby Riott needs to be a women's champion in 2020 or we fucking do riot.
Yeah, exactly, Ashton, because I'll tell you, I was getting ready to say that, you know I get on here and I make the jokes like, oh, it's going to happen, you know, Kevin Owens Money in the Bank 2020. I mean, this isn't a joke to me when I say it about Ruby. Like, I'm not going to turn up or this and that. That woman has busted her fucking ass off. Yep. Again, she was, I mean, and really, I hate to be that guy because I'm like, gonna try and be less negative in these unless it's just something we outright hate. You can't help that.
Well, like, and the thing is, they are building to a Saudi show, but it doesn't feel like it's really overwhelming the product like it usually does.
I know, right? It definitely feels more toned down to the point where, honestly, sometimes I even forget that Super Showdown is a Saudi show. Yeah. But we'll get to that, I guess, a bit later. But, oh, shit, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. For Ruby to be competing as long as she was with two bad shoulders, and she was still having better matches than, like, some of the women in the women's division, what the fuck does that tell you? Like, step your fucking game up. Jesus Christ. But, yeah, I'm so happy.
Fundamentals, baby. Fundamentals will get you far in this world.
Fuck yeah, they will. And to know that this amazing woman is back where she fucking belongs, I want her to have this feud. I want her to be elevated and Liv to be elevated because that's what the best feuds do. They elevate both parties. Yep. I want Ruby to win the Money in the Bank. You know when I'm saying that over like Kyrie, because we'll get to Kyrie in a second. But like, yeah, Ruby's like in my top 3 that I'd want to see win that briefcase this year. Let's fucking get it, man. And it starts with this feud. So, like you, I'm hyped for it. Let's get the most out of it that we can.
Yeah,
let's fucking
absolutely.
do it.
I'm really excited for this feud, mostly because of what you just talked about. The idea that they might elevate the two of them, and the fact that it's. I'm not going to say it's going to force WWE to give them spotlight every week, because we've seen plenty of times instances of feuds where they just disappear for weeks, and it sucks. But it's the thing that we kind of have to acknowledge. But I really hope that that's not the case here. I really hope that this feud really does kind of lead to something. I don't think that Liv was on Raw this week, but Ruby did cut a promo about Liv, and it almost felt informed by Liv Morgan's vignettes, actually, that she got leading up to her return with the whole Lana feud.
Yeah, because Ruby made reference to, Liv says she strikes when she's ready. No, she strikes when I'm ready. So pretty much saying that she still controls Liv. Liv isn't an individual. Liv is a follower. In fact, I think she said that directly. Like, Liv is a follower.
Liv's a follower. Yep, exactly. Yeah, she did.
And so, so far...
She always will be, too, because then she even brought up a line about how, Liv Morgan will jump when I say how high.
Yeah. And it's interesting, because to me that comes off as Ruby doesn't think Liv can strike it out on her own, that Liv needs Ruby. So really this is about Liv proving herself to Ruby.
Yep.
And maybe and by extension proving herself to all of us, because the Lana feud was trash. Yeah, and to herself. Because the Lana feud wasn't going to do that. Not even just from like a non-kayfabe standpoint, for all the reasons we've already talked about that I'm not going to retread here because time is precious. But even from a kayfabe standpoint, Lana isn't the competitor that Ruby is. She doesn't have the history with Liv that Ruby does, even if WWE wanted to make us think otherwise.
Yeah.
So this is the test for Liv Morgan, not that Lana bullshit. This is the test here, and we'll see how it goes. Let's fucking do it.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, I love to, there was almost like Samoa Joe vibes. Or not Samoa Joe, like Scott Steiner in his feud with Samoa Joe vibes. Because remember when Steiner was all like, he cuts his hair, paints his face, he thinks he's threatening me? I feel like Ruby has like almost that same vibe. Like, what? She dyes her hair blonde, she has a new attitude, she thinks she's threatening me?
She's still just a follower.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, this is really cool. I like that they're addressing that the vignettes really painted Ruby and the Riot Squad in a bad light, because they really did. Because Liv that whole time was talking about how, I knew people that, taught me how to think and told me what to wear and told me all this stuff, but that wasn't really me. It's just like, damn, girl. You're coming off as really heelish here, or at the very least, you're painting the Riot Squad as very heelish here, because that's like everyone knew that that's where she came from, and that those were the girls that she hung with, and that like the natural conclusion that we jump to is, oh, so you just hate them now, and so it makes sense that Ruby would not like her. It makes perfect sense. I actually appreciate the continuity there too.
Especially, too, because, Liv's been the fake one the whole time, because as soon as Ruby's music hit, Liv was almost in tears smiling and stuff. Maybe that was her breaking character, which is entirely possible. She was so happy.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. But maybe she didn't know what was happening. Maybe she didn't expect for Ruby to come out there. How cool would that be if WWE randomly just, shoots on Liv Morgan by having Ruby come out while she's in the ring without telling her?
Right? Yeah, that would be nuts. And it's funny, too, because she, goes in for the hug, and just Ruby's just all like, you think I forgot?
Yeah.
Bam!
Yep.
So it's good stuff, man. It's really good stuff.
Definitely. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Drew McIntyre, who on the February 3rd show, it was really cool. It was actually the first time that anybody acknowledged the crowd on this show, because the February 3rd show was the one in Utah, where there was the big snowstorm, and it was still a really great crowd, a really hot crowd, despite the fact that they had the big snowstorm. So Drew thanks them for making it to the arena during this terrible weather, and then tells Mojo Rawley, as soon as I put this mic down, 3 seconds later, I'm going to kick your head off. And then he also brings up about Lesnar being scared of him, and Lesnar fears the Claymore. And then the bell rings, and Drew immediately hits the Claymore on Rawley, pins him 1, 2, 3, and that's it. So
I have been loving Drew lately, man. I don't want to jump the gun because you're talking about this particular segment, and I'm already thinking of the other one he did
Well,
most
we'll get to
recently.
that pretty much immediately after this, though. But yeah, just give your brief thoughts on this segment, and if you're eager to get to the VIP lounge, we'll get to that.
Yeah, I mean, really not much to say about this because I'm more eager to get to the VIP lounge. Babyface told the truth, and you'll love to see it. He said what he was going to do, and he did it, and he looked good doing it. That's what I want to see from Drew McIntyre. That's the shit that's going to get us to Mania and get a hot fucking crowd. Good stuff.
All right. Then let's get to this week with MVP and the God, I keep wanting to say the dirt sheet. That's something that we will talk about then as well. But let's talk about MVP, talking about Drew McIntyre on VIP Lounge. You know, Drew, it was kind of some tension here, actually. It was weird. MVP still can talk, though. He needs to, like, if he's ready to be done as an in-ring performer, I would love if he would stick around in the WWE as a manager. Like, we've already seen what the combination of MVP managing Bobby Lashley can do in Impact, and it was amazing. Let that happen again here, or let him manage somebody that doesn't necessarily talk as much, doesn't get as much TV time. You know, let MVP be someone's manager. Let MVP elevate someone, you know?
Oh, absolutely. I'd be all for that. I popped when he did the heel intro for the VIP lounge because I'm like, I even said in the Discord, I hope he does, the heel intro. And he said, this place is still for people better than you. And I'm like, yes! So it was good stuff, man. Yeah, he could still work the stick. No doubt about it.
Definitely.
No doubt about it.
Yeah. So do you want to actually talk about the old VIP lounge? You have anything to say about it with Drew?
Well, yeah, I mean, MVP was trying to cozy up to Drew, saying,
trying to leech off of him.
We have a lot of history, you and I. We go back, and we won the Royal Rumble match, and I can help you, beat Brock Lesnar, and Drew pretty much gathers from this. We. Did you win the Royal Rumble? And he's like, oh, no, you did. And Drew kind of keeps pushing back, like, oh, so you want to be my Paul Heyman? And MVP says, essentially, yeah, but I'm better than Paul Heyman, this and that. And Drew says, well, I've never needed anybody to talk for me. And, just kind of pushes back and forth. He pretty much just says straight up, like, I don't need you, MVP. MVP, of course, feeling disrespected, was like, don't you walk away from me. Don't you disrespect me like that. And ultimately, Drew lays his ass out with a Claymore. And he does the countdown beforehand, which I love. Because, again, I know we talked about that, I think, last catch-up commentary. I personally like it as a babyface thing. Yeah. And I think because we're WrestleMania, it's Tampa. The name of the stadium. What's the name of the
Raymond
stadium?
James Stadium, I believe.
Say that again?
Let me check. Yeah, Raymond James Stadium.
Raymond James Stadium. I could see Raymond James Stadium and all those people counting down with him, and that's a visual that I don't think WWE is going to pass up, especially too because the opposition is the most legitimate you can get in Brock fucking Lesnar. Like everybody's going to be doing that countdown with bated breath that he'll once again finally lose a world title, and maybe somebody can actually hold on to it this time.
God, how weird is that? That's like the Brock Lesnar curse, man.
Yeah, man.
When that beats Brock either gets injured or gets sick or something happens that they can't have.
Or they don't know how to tweet. It's horrible.
Well, that's the Seth case for sure.
Yeah. It's a shame, man. But
I love that you even brought that up because I had already just completely forgotten about the whole Seth debacle. And you're just like, no, I clean to these things.
Yeah. No, I hold grudges like a basketball. Or actually, basketballs don't hold grudges.
Yeah, no,
that's right.
They're the ones that don't do it. Yeah,
exactly. But no, man, I like the Drew. He seems so complete. You and I have talked about this privately, and I think we've brought a bit of it to the podcast. So it's not like I'm saying anything novel here, but like his promo delivery, his confidence, like just everything about his promo work is just night and day between babyface and heel. And I love him.
How weird is that though? Because we see that with a lot of guys, but normally it's flipped on its head. Normally a guy is amazing on the mic as a heel because it's just so easy to make people hate you. But Drew, for some reason, can't seem to figure it out on the mic as a heel. But when he's a babyface, that natural charisma shines through, and he is just so lovable.
Yeah, and you're right. It is so weird because, like, You know, I think about guys like Edge, not terrible as baby faces, but cut amazing promos as heels.
Yeah.
And, you know, the list goes on and on. But here Drew is, who, again, you'd think on paper could cut pretty effective heel promos because, I mean, look at the guy. It's not that hard of a sell. But, man, there's something about when he's a baby face and he's feeling himself, that charisma, because I can't tell you how many times I would see on Twitter people being like, oh, you know, I don't think Drew has any charisma. He's a charisma vacuum. Like, why is he in this spot? And I don't know if they've changed their tune with him as a babyface, but I will say, to be charitable to that side, I could understand why they'd feel that way, because as a heel, I never really vibed with his promos the way I'm vibing with them right now.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just like, I think why I'm so happy seeing it, dude, is because, you know, with guys like Drew and WWE makes these investments, especially with how he looks, they want to go all the way with him. And I think why I'm so happy is this is one of those cases where I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah.
Like I'm totally okay with Drew being the guy they go all the way with. Hell, and I could even say, and we'll get to that later on the SmackDown side, that for guys like Roman, I've liked his trajectory this time around. I'll be cool with it too then. At least I say that now. Check in with me again in 6 months.
Yeah.
But, you know, with Drew, you know, I'm ready for it. And I feel like I could also say check in with me again in 6 months. But, like, I've wanted this for Drew for so long that I really would just be the fickle, you know, fan that Daniel Bryan talks about if I was sour on it. Because, and especially if he keeps being this good, I'll have no reason to complain. This was excellent. I have to give credit to MVP for being an amazing heater in the segment. Yes. And really, I have to say the crowds lately, and maybe it's just my memory because just the good crowds are standing out. I don't know if we've had any mad crowds between, you know, all four of these episodes collectively, the 2 Raw and 2 SmackDown. But I feel like the crowds have been better lately. You know, good energy that I think, you know, they're being the third man in that spot. And yeah, it's just been really good, man. I'm really
tonight's SmackDown crowd was amazing. I loved tonight's SmackDown crowd.
Absolutely, man. It was good shit. It was such good shit. Yeah, so that's all I gotta say about that, man. Is there anything else you want to add, or you want to move on to the next thing?
You're goddamn right it did, John.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Oh, Vince.
I guess we can move on. You mentioned, you know, Drew hitting the old Claymore on MVP, sending him flying over the couches in the ring. So let's move on. Let's talk about Aleister Black. Both of these weeks he has had quick squash matches against non-local talent, like actual named roster members. Last week it was Eric Young. This week it was Akira Tozawa. He beat them both in relatively short order and then cut promos after both of those matches.
I feel like I've been talking a lot for these so far, and I don't mean to always take the ball because I'm sure you have your own substantive insights, so I want you to go first on this. How do you feel about what Aleister's been doing lately?
I really, really like Aleister Black, and I've really enjoyed his in-ring work. And his promos are good, but I'm really worried that he's running into Bray Wyatt syndrome, where he's talking so much and he's using such sort of, I don't want to say advanced language, but like non-succinct language. People are going to stop paying attention to what he has to say. I'm really worried that like he needs to stop cutting these long, droning promos, or people are just going to stop caring. People are just going to be like, oh God, another Aleister Black promo, whatever, mute the TV, change the channel, whatever. I don't ever want him to get to that place. I don't remember The Undertaker ever talking this much in consecutive weeks.
Okay, I'm going to take this just with the 1-2 combination because I do agree. My problem springboarding off of that, the promos to me have to lead to something, and he's still not initiating fights with people. It's just fights are being provided for him more readily now. Like, I would have liked, and maybe this is asking too much, because, again, I always feel like, and we've talked about this, I always feel like I'll be forever infected by Lucha Underground, and, like, a lot of the stuff that they did that makes me feel like, well, what if other companies didn't do maybe not exactly this, but just something that would kind of remind me of that. I would love if Aleister, there would just be a segment dedicated to every show. Aleister maybe in catering, you know, and maybe he spots somebody. Maybe he's hunting for somebody, you know, maybe backstage. Maybe he was watching somebody's match last week and he's like, so I saw your match last week and I want to, you know, make you fade to black tonight or something like that.
Just to cut you off real quick, we got a $2 super chat from Kirby Freeman. He said, hashtag easy peasy.
Beautiful. You'll love to see it. Thank you, Kirby Freeman. We really appreciate it. And like, let me just clarify. I know the examples I'm giving are cheesy as hell and cringe and eye rolly, but it's more the sentiment behind them than anything else. I want him to be the hunter, not the hunted. Like, go out and get your fights. And I will say, I don't agree with this man much anymore. But I do think Mick Foley had the perfect tweet about this that I agreed with him on. I feel like Alistair is one big feud away, and this is what he said, and I agree. One big feud away from getting to that next level, from really breaking out as like a big star on Monday Night Raw.
Yep.
But they need to, and here's my reservation, Ashton, much like yours, because again, I did co-sign onto your reservation. I hope they pick the right dance partner, because I also agree with Mick that the dance partner is everything. And I want it to be somebody that can really take Alistair to that place, or at least is entertaining enough fodder that, you know, people want to see more of it. So
I mean, dude, I don't watch backstage, but I do see clips from it, and CM Punk to me had the perfect dancer. Aleister Black and Andrade already have so much chemistry from their matches in NXT. Let's just rekindle that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like a ready-made feud, especially because Andrade didn't get stripped of the U.S. title or anything like that, given the suspension.
Yep.
You know, he's serving his time, but with the title.
I think if Andrade makes out of WrestleMania still as the U.S. champion, Alistair should be his first feud post-Mania.
Definitely. I mean, because see, now, that's what's going to bother me, dude. Him talking so far, it's fine. Your concerns are valid, because I feel the same way. But right now, it's fine. If he's doing it, though, another 3 to 4 weeks, and nobody's interrupted him, nobody's attacked him, nobody's done anything, that's going to be when I get annoyed.
I mean, dude, I've even heard a rumor that Alistair, and the thing is, there are so many rumors going on right now. Like, we've heard a rumor that we might get Sting versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania. It's rumor season, so take this with a grain of salt. But I have heard rumors that Alistair is who they, at some point, wanted to be The Undertaker's Mania opponent this year.
Wow. Yeah. I could believe it, but we'll have to see. I mean, the crazy thing is, I'm going to be truthful with you. Just a really quick sidebar. I didn't even think Taker was going to do a Mania match this year, because he did the Broken Skull podcast with Stone Cold, and like he was completely out of character. I didn't think Taker was going to do any out of character stuff until he was like totally done.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not wrestling anymore. Like, I can do this now. I protected the character, whatever. So if they do a Mania match with him, that's going to surprise the hell out of me, because how the hell do you reconcile that? Unless they're like...
Dude, I've seen clips from that Broken Skull podcast, and I never realized how stark the difference was between the voice of Mark Calloway and the voice of The Undertaker.
Same, brother.
Dude,
Same.
That blew my mind. He just sounds like a regular guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And yet what he's able to do with his voice is The Undertaker, which is why, like, I think the only thing that would really get me hyped about Taker versus Alistair, if that much were to happen, would be the promos. Yeah. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, because I saw today, and I think you told me about it, and I saw it on Twitter. So that was, like, two things. Fucking AJ and Taker this year now for Mania.
I'm seeing that as well. That was, like, a more recent rumor that I've seen.
Yeah. So... I don't know, man. It's just a lot, but to bring it back full circle, you need to give Alistair something meaning. And here's another disappointment I would have, kind of getting into nitpicky territory. I wouldn't want Alistair to win the armbar. Like, I don't want him to be like, oh, we won the Battle Royal, that's his Mania moment. I think he deserves his own singles match, honestly.
Yeah.
That's how good I think he is. Like, give him his own singles match. So, yeah, I definitely 150%, dude, share your concerns. I'm just more concerned more immediately that, like, so what's his first big feud? Because I'm even amazed that he hasn't been associating with Rollins and company by now. I thought he'd be chomping.
Yeah, dude, especially after they eliminated him from the Royal Rumble. I was so certain that was going to lead to him getting involved in that storyline, and just nothing.
And this is why I feel like not only can I sign on to your concerns, but like I have my own. And I don't want to get like angry here. I'm not angry necessarily. But like Alistair just seems to be in a really precarious place, because how could you be begging for people to pick a fight with you? And they technically did by eliminating him from the... Dude, I would consider costing, like kayfabe-wise, costing me the main event of WrestleMania to be picking a fucking fight with me.
Yep.
And then you say, I'm going to start hunting other people because of what they did. He said...
But you don't hunt them specifically. Like, how does that...
That makes no sense. like, I'm sorry, like, I'm not trying to get angry or make this rant, but it really makes no sense because, again, like you just said, he gave them the credit for like, oh, I'm going to start hunting other people, but they're not the people you go after. So what are we doing here?
Yeah.
What are we? So I'm really scared, dude. I'm not going to lie to you. Like I have said for so long on this podcast, Alistair has a license to print money, but only when they're ready to. And I'm concerned now that maybe they think they're ready to, but it's in a way that's so convoluted and stupid that they're gonna fumble the ball. So you and I share very similar reservations, man, because I don't understand why he isn't getting up in Seth Rollins' face right now. And for anybody that would be like, oh, it'd be too much too soon, we heard the same stuff about The Fiend, and we knew what happened when WWE waited a little too long. Like, it's still going great now, and we'll get to that later, but they could have very easily fumbled the ball. Have some fucking confidence. Pull the goddamn trigger. Jesus Christ. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen if it doesn't go well? Like, WWE has never failed before at anything. Come on now. Like, fucking do it. I'm sorry. That's going to be the end of my rant. But really, like, I'm tired of hearing, like, oh, it's too much too soon. Let the talent be the judge of that. Because either they can carry the weight or they can't.
I've never really been a fan of the whole too much too soon thing. Like, to me,
I haven't either.
Someone is ready when it just kind of feels like they're ready. I don't think that there is like a right or wrong amount of time that they have to spend in the business. You know what I mean? Like, and maybe that's what the problem is, though, is that, like, because there is no like set amount of time that is when they're ready, then it's subjective and people can debate it and people can disagree on it and all that shit. So maybe that really is the problem at the heart.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you, dude. Look, I understand. I am too. I am part of this fandom. So when I say,
but like, I also feel like
yeah,
we can't just ignore indie experience. Like, I think,
yeah,
I think that this whole mentality of like whatever you did before WWE doesn't fucking matter is like toxic as hell, and I hate that shit. So to me, we should look at, oh, did Tommy End ever have that run as like the ace of a company or like that big of a deal? And I personally, I've never seen it, but that's not because he didn't have it. That's just because I didn't watch European Indies on the back in the day when he was on the Indies. But like, to me, we should look back to their past experiences, and we don't even have to look back that far because he was the ace of NXT for a period.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
the guy, he was the NXT champion, and he held that thing for what, like 4 months, I want to say, maybe?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And in that time, he put on amazing matches. He cut great promos. He was everything that you want from a champion, from a face of the company kind of guy. He checked all the boxes. So there is nothing that makes me believe that he isn't quote unquote ready, because he's already proven he could do it in developmental.
Yeah, exactly. And dude, I agree with you. I'm glad we're kind of having this sidebar, because there was a time when I agreed with it, like, oh, anything you did before WWE doesn't matter, but I always looked at it more positively, like, oh, you know, it's a clean slate, like, make your mark here. And I still do believe that to a degree, but I feel like if you're going to make business decisions, yeah, you look at the whole package. Okay, so they were with it. That's probably why, dude, one reason why AJ Styles did become WWE champion, which is why we're so pleased, because anybody could look at his track record and be like, what's the fucking harm? The concept's already been proven. We don't need to prove it. It's been proven all these other places. So, yeah, like, I'm just asking for a bit more, because if you can, and I'm just being honest from my vantage point, if you can put a world title on Jack Swagger, even try pushing him again before, you know, the DUI a few years ago, if you can put a title on Jinder Mahal for another market, which again is an experimental thing. Let's see if Jinder draws. If you can experiment with that, no reason why you can't experiment with the Alistairs and the Fiends of the world a lot quicker than what you have been. Stop fucking pussyfooting, commit to a goddamn feud, and let's get this guy to the next level.
Thank you. Yes, and that is the perfect note, I think, to go out on as far as these segments go. So let's move on. And up next in our little queue here is Angel Garza. Angel Garza is now a Raw superstar, and I think that might even be official, because he tweeted, or actually it wasn't even a tweet, it was an Instagram story that was a goodbye at the top with a yellow background and then a hello at the bottom with a red background. So it seems like him having lost the Cruiserweight Championship #1 contendership match to Lio Rush on NXT was going to be his last match in NXT, and he is now officially a Raw roster member. He's been on Raw for both of the weeks that we're covering here, and he's had great matches. You know, his first week he went against Rey Mysterio, and that was a great fucking match that ended in DQ. because Garza DDT'd Mysterio on the concrete. And then this week he had a match against Cedric Alexander, and it was another really good match, and Garza won this one straight up with the wing clipper. I love that Angel Garza's on Raw. I love that he's involved in a match with all of these other amazing, talented Mexican wrestlers. And I love that we might be looking at either a tag team match or, best case scenario, a fatal four-way United States Championship match at WrestleMania between Garza, Andrade, Carrillo, and Mysterio. Holy shit.
Yeah, dude, the mid card and upper mid card with Raw right now, I'm really enjoying for the most part, because I am enjoying Rollins as the Monday Night Messiah and the Disciples and Kevin Owens, Joe, and all that, and the Viking Raiders. I feel like that's been good. I haven't tired of that yet. And then talking about this, God, Garza is so good. I mean, we already knew that, but it's great that a wider audience now gets to know it. I really gotta commend Ray too. You know, I feel like Ray goes through these ebbs and flows, at least whenever he was in WWE, because I know we had, you know, the Lucha Underground stint for the brief period and everything, where like he may get the main event push at times, but then he'll work in the mid card and elevate these guys, and I always enjoyed those periods more. I enjoyed his IC title run in 09. I'm enjoying the stuff he's doing right now, working with these up and comers, because Ray is still good enough that he can put on entertaining matches, which makes those guys more meaningful long term. And that's what you want to see. That's why I was grateful when he started mixing it up with Andrade, and Andrade would get wins, because now Andrade's the U.S. champion, and Heyman seems to be so high on him that even when Andrade, you know, kind of slipped up for whatever reason, which I don't know if we'll ever get the details of that story, you know, he's still the United States champion, which is a huge relief to me. And now Ray's doing it with Garza, and if Garza's officially on Raw, when I was hearing that, you know, it's just going to be a temporary thing till Andrade comes back, blah, 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 that took my excitement from like a 6, because I kind of tempered my expectations, you know, believing that it was going to be temporary. But if this is a permanent move, dude, the horizon just opened up.
Yes.
Because you mentioned that fatal four-way. You mentioned the tag matches. I mean, dude, this guy, he's so goddamn good. I don't know if he could ever be like a main event talent, only because of the look, you know, the height and whatnot. Because we talk about that, you know, a lot of the time, how Vince loves, you know, tall guys. But Garza, charisma for days.
He transcends height to me. Like, that's the crazy thing about, like, you know how into analytics I am, and how I love just like looking at everything on paper and trying to figure things out and all that stuff. But to me, Garza is a guy who is an outlier. Garza is a guy where you can't just look at his, you know, he's like 5'8" or 5'9". He's a cruiserweight. He's a smaller guy. His finisher's kind of lame. There's nothing about him on paper other than the fact that he comes from a wrestling dynasty, which is always going to be a plus. But other than that, there's nothing really about him on paper that screams star. But when you actually watch this dude work, holy shit. It's like you get a come to Jesus moment. You know what I mean?
You really do.
He's so good.
Yeah, he is. I mean, and he's not even like that bad on you know, on the mic. I feel like he's a solid promo.
I mean, dude, here's the thing too. He doesn't need to be great on the mic because he has Zelina.
Yeah, exactly. Which, again, now that he's permanent, I can definitively say on one of these commentaries, I love seeing managers expand their clientele base.
Yes!
More
actually,
of this,
you know
please.
what? I'm glad you pointed that out, because that hadn't even registered for me. But yeah, that is a great point.
Well, now I can say it definitively, dude, thanks to you pointing out that Garza's permanent. Like, see, this is the stuff I want for Robert Stone on NXT. I mean, more importantly, Malcolm Bivens.
Of course.
I'm dying for fucking Malcolm Bivens. Paul Heyman already did it. You know, it's so funny that for as good as Paul Heyman, you know, seemed to be, he actually seems to be the exception of the rule. I really didn't like when he tried juggling multiple clients. Like, Ryback was fun for a moment. Axel just, that fizzled out so quickly.
But John, he beat Triple H.
Yeah, he did. Didn't he beat him in really weird fashion too? Because they did like a concussion angle with Triple H or some shit.
Yeah,
which we like all cringed at because it was like, ooh,
it was
this company.
Pretty bad optics. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh man, that was rough.
Yeah, it was. So Heyman's just one guy. I've never really cared seeing him juggle multiple clients, but Zelina's already killing it. So suck it, Paul.
Zelina, greater manager than Paul Heyman, confirmed.
I mean, we knew it.
Hell yeah, we did.
But yeah, man, it's just so cool to see, especially because like I'll never take this leap like in a serious way. Like I would never soberly put forward to you that this is happening, but the geek and the fan in me is like, oh, maybe that means we'll get our own, like, you know, Los Ingobernables, you know, day.
I mean,
WWE,
dude, I don't know if you saw, but Jorge Bali is cleared to wrestle. He's finally going to wrestle, and he's going to be teaming with Mendoza.
I know, dude. I know. It's so good. I'm telling
you,
man.
So much is happening right now that has me excited.
I'm telling you, man. Because you and I have both been watching WWE for years, and you and I, we saw the entirety of the ADR era, and WWE was all in on him because of the look and Rodriguez and all this stuff. But I would say every talent that's come through for this era has just done circles around his time.
God, yes.
Like, you know, honestly, if I'm Rey Mysterio, I'm so fucking happy right now, because if my whole purpose in my WWE career, besides making my own money, right, was ensuring the next generation of Hispanic talent.
You don't even have to try at this point. You
really don't. You really don't. Like, you can rest easy. You did your fucking job.
Yep.
Because he tapped out.
His job was literally just waiting long enough for them to get their shit together and pick the right guys.
Because when you think about how Rey has put these talents over traditionally, like Alberto Del Rio's debut, Rey tapped out for him, which was crazy.
Yep.
He beat,
and that was when Rey was still pretty OP too, so it was a bigger deal back then.
It was a bigger deal back then. He put Andrade over 2 straight falls, and even though Rey has lost some of his power, to beat a guy the caliber of Rey Mysterio 2 straight falls is like is crazy.
It's not nothing.
Exactly. Had a great match with Garza. So if I'm Rey Mysterio, I'm fucking giddy right now because. I'm
not even Rey Mysterio, but I'm still fucking giddy right now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we did it, fam. I've ensured the future of Lucha Libre in America.
Hell
so
yeah.
I'll fucking go home. And you know, then my son Dominic will come in and he'll dilute it a bit. But you know, you win some, you lose some. But
I'm just gonna make an official prediction right now for the draft, though. I feel like Andrade is going back over to SmackDown.
Dude, I don't mind if he does. And see. This is what I hate about talents like Andrade, though. Well, not about them specifically, but about the circumstances they inherit. Because, like, if he goes back to SmackDown, I'm like, you got to pull the trigger, make that man a fucking world champion. But I don't know how much his backstage perception has changed because of this development now with the suspension. Because I know Heyman's still high on him, but Heyman's just one guy. So
I mean, yeah, dude, but the reason that I bring that up is because I know of a certain SmackDown writer that would love to get his hands on someone like Andrade.
Yeah. I could, yeah. I'm picking up what you're laying down. And I would hope it would go well for him. I really would. I still believe, despite this mishap, Andrade is a world championship caliber performer. And it's just great to see the work that he has been doing. I already miss him on TV. I know you do too, because I think you even said that to me on this past Raw. That, like, I'm already missing Andrade. I think you said to me exactly, it's only been 2 weeks, John, and I'm already missing Andrade. And I'm like, yep. So, but to circle all the way back around, I've been loving all these sidebars we've been having tonight, though, so I don't really mind. But Garza's just fantastic. I do think he's a future U.S. champion. And the crazy thing is, dude, I think he works. We already know he works as a heel. I was liking, like, his very brief babyface run. It seems like he's back to heel again. Yeah. I think there's a lot of promise there as a babyface. I think he's so goddamn charming and endearing.
Yeah, dude. I think Paul was even someone that was in chat talking about how he's just too, like, he's too suave and too charismatic and too charming to stay heel too long. But, like, at the same time, though, I feel like he's doing much better actual heel work on the main roster than he ever did in NXT.
Yeah.
Like, they've actually got me convinced that, like, oh, wow, this guy's a piece of shit. They're doing a really good job with it.
Yeah, exactly. It's so good. But anything else you want to say, man, before we move on to the next thing?
No, I think we can move on to the next thing, which is Charlotte. Ew.
Oh, God. Okay, you know what, dude? Let's just try and move through the painful stuff as quickly as possible, because I like talking about the good
so on
stuff.
the 2-3 show, she cut a promo talking about how she's already beaten everyone. We get a Rhea chant, and Charlotte acknowledges it and is talking about how I have love for NXT. Rhea Ripley's music hits. She comes out, says Charlotte won the Rumble and can challenge for any title she wants, so she should challenge Rhea, because then she reminds her, oh, by the way, you haven't beaten me, and I actually have a win over you. And if you should, basically asking her to challenge Rhea at WrestleMania. Right? So then this week, we got Charlotte came out to the ring because we got a match between Rhea Ripley and Sarah Logan. We also got a backstage interview. Rhea said that she wasn't going to wait for Charlotte to answer her. And then Sarah Logan got in her face and said, "Oh, who do you think you are?" And Rhea says, "I'm Rhea Ripley," and then asks Logan who she is. So we got that whole thing. And then they had a match. Charlotte was at ringside for the whole thing. And Rhea did not take her eyes off of Charlotte throughout the entire match. She beat Sarah Logan in like probably less than 90 seconds, beat her with Riptide. It was a really intense segment. And then afterwards, Rhea asked Charlotte for her answer. And yet again, we didn't get a definitive answer. So even though we know that Charlotte's going to challenge for the NXT Championship, we don't officially know that she is.
Okay, so I was dead serious about being quick about this because I know sometimes I'll say it and I'll digress into a rant. Not this fucking time. Charlotte is, she did what she had to do on the mic, playing up to the crowd, teasing the WrestleMania match. I get it. I didn't like it. It's whatever. Subscribe to Stardom World. Rhea came out, laid down I was serious, man. Anytime I want to be negative, I'm just going to promote stuff that we fucking like. Fuck Charlotte Flair. Rhea came out. She's fucking great. Love the confidence. Love that she used straight up facts, in the words of the great Tyson Kidd, who I miss immensely, that she has beaten Charlotte, have a match with me, trying to goad her into using her WrestleMania title shot on her. I'm here for it. Then the Sarah Logan Rhea matchup. Feel bad for Sarah Logan, which that's actually more of a digression that I would like to have with you in just a second, but I want to address directly the Rhea Charlotte stuff because that's mainly what we're talking about. Quick match. Rhea, her athleticism blows my mind at her size. She has a beautiful fucking drop kick. I just want to point that out. Asked Charlotte for her answer. Charlotte, again, didn't give one. You guys already are here for our NXT live reactions, so you know about that development there with Charlotte and Rhea on NXT. I'm interested in the program. Mainly, I'm interested in what this program can do for Rhea and maybe other talents like Bianca, which, by the way, guys, go check out our TakeOver Portland preview and predictions that we did earlier today to get hyped up for Sunday, where we'll be doing TakeOver Portland live reactions. So all's good there. What I really want to talk about with you, because, let's be honest, there were promos. It was Charlotte. We know it wasn't good. Rhea's doing just fine. What more needs to be said? Do you think Sarah Logan's going to get involved in the Liv Morgan, Ruby Riott feud? Because I feel like...
You know what? I feel like a lot of people are talking about how they either expect or want that to happen. I don't really know how I feel about it. The thing is, if it would make Sarah Logan feel like less of a fucking geek, I would be for it. But if they're just going to use Sarah Logan as like a go-between to take all the falls so that they don't have to beat Liv or Ruby, I don't know if I like that, because I actually do like Sarah Logan as a talent. Like, let's not allow ourselves to forget, this is Crazy Mary Dobson that we're talking about. Like, this isn't some fucking scrub that they just signed off the street, that's some nobody. She is a legitimately talented wrestler. She is a genuinely good performer, and I just want to see her be treated with even a shred of dignity at this point. So, if her getting involved in the Ruby Liv situation would be what causes that to happen, then I'd be for it. Otherwise, I don't really care.
I'm gonna play in the sandbox for just a second here.
Okay.
I have a vision for how I would like this to go. So we know Liv, her vignettes and stuff, she's striking on her own. She even said before all these vignettes started, after she lost to Charlotte, when I come back, I'm gonna be real. So Liv's whole thing, to sum it up in a word, or whichever one you want, authenticity, or you could say individuality for Liv. She's being her own individual. Ruby doesn't think that Liv can make it. I want Sarah to serve the function, for me personally, of Ruby being right, that Liv can't make it, and that's what Liv could be. She's like, look, Liv, I tried striking it out on my own. I couldn't do it. Ruby's right. I don't think you can either. But then I would want Sarah to beat Liv with Ruby's help, to kind of show that, see, when you follow me, when you actually have structure and a leader and this and that, things get better for you, because things aren't going well for Sarah. Right. So I would like for Sarah to run with Ruby again and kind of prove Ruby right.
That I would like. If they would use this whole story, of Sarah Logan going after the top guy, as so to speak, and targeting Charlotte and just failing at every single turn. If they would use that and turn that into a story where Sarah kind of goes crawling back to Ruby and Ruby accepts her because she knows that she's got her under her thumb again. And then Sarah all of a sudden starts having some success because Ruby helps her to win matches and stuff. I would be able to get into that for sure. Like, that sounds a lot better to me, because that would make it seem more like there would be more continuity. Like, I still want Sarah Logan to be treated as more legitimate as a competitor, and that wouldn't necessarily do that, but at least she would be on TV regularly and she would have a story and it would feel like she mattered. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and my big thing is, dude, while I'm still kind of playing in the proverbial sandbox here, when Sarah goes back to Ruby, one of the first matches would be Sarah versus Liv, and I would have Sarah win that match because I want Liv to doubt herself.
Right.
I want Liv to be like, is Ruby right?
You want Liv to have something
Sarah
to overcome, and if she just wins every match, there's not that.
I feel like the women in the division need more of those types of stuff. I want more nuance in the women's division because we have amazing workers. I'm not denying that. Workers isn't the problem. If anything, characters is kind of the problem for me. I want struggles. I want narratives where there's a transformative experience. You know, like how do they say like the hero's arc? Like you learn it in literature class and stuff and like literary theory. It's like you start the journey, you have the conflict.
Well, you just said it, the hero's journey.
Yeah. Like, I want that, and I want the end of the hero's journey for particularly the babyface characters, of course, to be some kind of transformative or affirmative moment. I can be an individual. I can win the big one. Or maybe I can't. And, you know, because not all resolution may have a positive connotation, but it doesn't always have to be positive. And then maybe that would lead into a heel turn. Like, I want more nuance. I want more depth. I want more struggle psychologically and emotionally that's conveyed through promos and in-ring storytelling.
Basically what I'm getting here is you want WWE to treat their women's division more like Stardom.
I'd love that. I know it'll never happen, but I'd love that.
Dude, yeah. I mean, I'm totally with you on that sentiment, but yeah, like, I mean, don't get me wrong. It would be fucking amazing. I would kill for them.
Because they have the talent to do it, dude. Like, if there was ever an era where they had the talent to do it. Like,
and
especially
if you include NXT, because NXT's roster is stacked beyond belief. Like,
especially because, you know, we just said, like, we'd like them to be more like Stardom. You have Kyrie and Io on your payroll for now. Yeah. Like, who better to be the ring generals? Like, oh, Stardom would actually do this? Oh, okay. Yeah. You can just
like teaching them how to tell stories from that perspective for sure. But what I was even going to say is, I forget who it was, but somebody asked me in chat, it might have even been yesterday during our Stardom Live reactions, who has a better roster right now between Stardom and NXT? And
yeah.
I was like, you know what? I think if we think depth, I think Stardom has the better roster, but NXT has the best female wrestler on the planet right now in Io. And granted, she came from Stardom, but she's in NXT now, and that's what matters. And like, to me, if you're not using her, which they're not right now, let's be real. You know, it doesn't make your roster worse, but to me, it's like a detriment. It's there's a word that I'm thinking of that I can't remember what it is, but it's a really bad statement on your writing team when you can't make the most out of the literal best female performer in the fucking wrestling world. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like, to me though, and I said about how, like, I would say, you know, Io would be number one, but I would also say then that the next, like, 3 or 4 girls would be Stardom girls, because you would be like Mayu and Momo and Arisa, and I forget who else I put. Oh, Jungle. I put Jungle in, and Konami too would be in that category. So, like, from the depth perspective, it would be Stardom. But if you look at WWE as a whole, including NXT, they've actually got Stardom beat, because then they do have the depth, because then you include Sasha and Ember and Ruby and Bayley. Like, if you toss all those names into the hat alongside Io and Rhea and Mia and Bianca and Diana and Santana, like, it is ridiculous.
Yeah.
How stacked and how deep NXT and WWE combined their women's divisions are. And the fact that they're underutilizing them to the degree that they are is almost embarrassing, honestly. Yeah, absolutely. I've got nothing else to say on this. Unless you do, we can move on. Craig helped me out. The word I was looking for was indictment. It's an indictment on the writing team.
Nice. Thanks, Craig.
You're the best, Craig. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the other women's feud going on Raw right now. Asuka and Becky Lynch. So last week, Asuka did beat Natalya, but the match went way too long. I'm not even trying to talk about it. But then afterwards, she challenged Becky to a match. And of course, you know, Becky came out. Becky, I'm getting weird, like almost heelish vibes from Becky in this, because she comes out and she's like, oh, you know, Asuka, you've been ducking me for a year. Or she was like, oh, you know, you want to be ducking me for a year and now you lost to me and now you want to fight me again. And then she talked about beating you at Royal Rumble, might as well have given me superpowers. And she agrees to the match, but then Kyrie tries to attack her. and she just like shrugs off Kyrie and eliminates her from the ring with one hand because like she has the other hand on the title and she never drops the title. Like, I got really heelish vibes from Becky in this segment, but then the championship match was this week, and it was pretty. I mean, it was a great match. It was a really, really good match, but there wasn't. It's not like there were any like storyline developments. It was just a match. It was just a really, really good match. Like, it's not like Becky came off as heelish in the match. It's not like, you know, there were any like crazy, like the Kabuki Warriors didn't turn on each other or anything. It was just a really, really good match, and that was it. You know, like we were just we want more depth, we want more stories. Well, this was severely lacking in that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you just said.
Becky Lynch has this huge chip on her shoulder that she never beat Asuka, and then in the matter of 3 weeks, she beats her twice.
Yeah. Ugh. And it completely goes contrary to Punk's sentiment on Backstage, where he just viewed Asuka and Becky as like Joker and Batman, and he didn't want it to end, and he really wanted Becky to struggle. But WWE is like, but she's our top performer. If a top performer shows vulnerability, how can they be the top performer? Yeah, wrestling's weird, isn't it?
I mean, don't say wrestling. WWE, Vince McMahon is.
Yeah. Well, I was just being more sarcastic there because obviously you can be vulnerable and have a top guy, but Vince just doesn't do wrestling the way I guess we understand it. But regardless, Asuka Becky match was great. It was hilarious that she won with the rock bottom that I've taken to calling the Beck's bottom. And yeah, it was a really solid match. The Kyrie fan in me hates how she's just kind of on the periphery of this whole thing. I don't know if it's because WWE is just wearing kid gloves with her right now, you know, because of TLC and everything, or, and I've thought about this too, she may not have resigned and they just really don't want to use her much because why use somebody that's going to leave? I mean, it didn't work well with Dean Ambrose, right? So maybe they're just like keeping her on the sidelines. I don't know. I'm very curious to find out where Kyrie's contract status is going to be. I think it's only going to be a few more months and we'll know our answer. So I'm curious where that chip is going to fall. But yeah, I mean, I could understand, man, because one thing I will give the Becky credit character for, when we talk about the nuance in the storytelling, she does it like through her social media and everything. Because after she beat Asuka at Rumble, I think she said something like her Twitter bio was pretty much like, "Oh, I might as well be offered a Legends contract at this point," or something like something to that effect. Like, I'm a legend now. And I even said, you know, I know we'd probably reject a Becky heel turn again if it were to happen, but I almost wanted them to try again because I felt like Becky was really close to her own "your arms are too short to box with God" promo. Yeah. And I would have loved to have seen that. Obviously, though, given this past episode of Raw, we're not going that way. We're going with Becky Lynch versus Flesh Eaters because Shayna Baszler attacks, takes out her mouth guard, and bites a chunk out of Becky's neck and a really bloody mouth. We're finally talking about this, you and I. I am dying to know how you felt about this.
I mean, dude, when I first saw it, I laughed my ass off, and I was like, we got Shayna Lecter up in here.
I love that.
About, like, what was that?
No, I love that. Shayna Lecter. I love that. That's
but now we've got people talking about she's a vampire, and like, she randomly just decided she was going to go off on Twitter on wrestling fans, I guess. Because I guess she went to see Birds of Prey, and she went off on Twitter about how nobody in Birds of Prey talked about the booking or the script.
Yeah.
Did you see Shayna's tweet thread?
No, I didn't. I didn't. I'm guessing I missed something interesting?
Yeah, interesting is the word I would use to describe it, yes.
I kind of want to give live reactions to this if I could find it.
Well, you know what then? Yeah, let me... I actually just found it already. I think it was still in my history, so it was pretty easy to find. Let me send you a link to this. Okay. I'm just gonna post it in the chat actually, but I'll read it out loud while you kind of go through it. Shayna Baszler tweeted yesterday. Actually, it was this morning at 12:16 a.m. Things not heard while watching Birds of Prey. A thread. Number 1, OMG, this is so fake. Number 2, of course she's badass. The script says she is. Number 3, why does Ewan get to be the top bad guy? So many others signed on before him and worked so hard. Number 4, the cast is so talented, it's stupid they're holding them back by pushing Harley as the lead. Number 5, Black Canary. Seriously, all she does is kick. Like, learn to stunt. Number 6, why are you guys discussing this like it's real? It's fake, you know. Number 7, ugh, this is why I stopped watching DC. Marvel's so much better. Finally bringing real superheroes back. And number 8, can't believe, is it Ewan or Ewan? I think it's Ewan. Can't believe Ewan had to job to Harley.
Oh man, I'll admit to being slightly called out there. You know, I see what you're doing. But no,
it's like, an unfair parallel though, because it's a movie and like it's not something that is on every single week, and they're not trying to convince you that it is real at all, like WWE does with their whole sports. You know, they do like their backstage interviews like it's a fucking sport or something. Like, no, it's a movie, and it's not trying to convince you otherwise. And that's what Lucha Underground was, and people didn't complain about it that way that I saw. So I think that that's the issue here, is that WWE is like trying to trick people into believing it's real when everyone knows it's not.
Yeah. I'm more come down on your side of things because it is a weekly program and just like its format and everything else. I hate to be that guy, especially because again I do feel low key called out with Shayna's thread. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't. I
know how I feel about it. I know exactly how I feel about it. I just said it. It's an unfair parallel. She needs.
Well, no. I'm talking about the segment where she.
Oh, the segment. Oh, well.
Yeah.
I mean, dude. Yeah, absolutely. I'm just gonna. I guess I'll talk about it because I never really got to, because I just kind of said, Shayna Lecter.
Yeah.
I fucking loved it. I think it made Shayna look like a fucking psychopath. It's a very different character beat from anything that we saw from her in NXT, but I was never the biggest fan of Shayna Baszler, the bully, in NXT. It always felt very shallow. It always felt very forced. But if she's going to go full-blown psychopath and start ripping chunks out of people's necks, yes, please. Becky needs to be put up against the wall. Becky needs somebody that can actually give her a challenge, because if she isn't feeling intimidated by Asuka anymore, there's just nobody, and she's just going to be this arrogant, like, oh, top of the world. Like, she's starting to feel more and more like Bayley every week, and Bayley's supposed to be a goddamn heel. So I think that she needed somebody like Shayna to come in and rip a fucking chunk out of her neck with her teeth, because otherwise there's no one else to challenge her. She's run through everyone. It doesn't feel like anyone is legit. Becky needs Shayna more than Shayna needs Becky.
Yeah. Now, see, on all of that, I agree with you 150%, because even Becky trying to deny, like, oh, I'm fine, but then like screaming in pain when it was touched and this and that. I want Becky to have her wall, like Shayna forces Becky to break her walls down, and just be like, I am scared, or I don't know if I can beat Shayna, but I know I need to beat Shayna, because that's what being the man is, turning the tide of just every challenger that steps up to you, kind of thing. But admit that you're scared. Admit that, yeah, Shayna is imposing and all of this, and, stop feigning the tough guy act, which I do feel like she was when they were tending to her
later
neck.
on in the night. Like, she still did the whole thing with the fucking ambulance, where she did the whole tough guy act. Like, she jacked an ambulance. She drove herself to the hospital in someone else's ambulance. And then later on in the night, she came back in the ambulance, power walked to the ring, and talked about, oh, Shayna Baszler might be tough, but I'm tougher, and I've come across tougher. And, like, she talked shit on shit. Like, girl, she could have just given you rabies, and you're talking shit? What?
Yeah.
Like, what's the opposite of grow a backbone? Because Becky needs to do that. She needs to stay in her fucking lane, calm the fuck down.
Yeah, like, how did that song used to go? Like, sit down, be humble, or something like that?
Yeah, Kendrick Lamar. Be humble, bitch, sit down.
Yeah, that's what Becky, in my mind, needs to do, because that's the gravity of the threat that Shayna Baszler poses, or I should say more pointedly, should pose to Becky Lynch. As far as the segment itself, in a vacuum, it was fucking awesome. I think I loved it too, especially because we talk about Lucha Underground, this and that. Like, Lucha Underground had people get murdered, had people get eaten by Matanza. So one person taking a bite out of a neck on WWE, it shouldn't be like, oh, this is trash, whatever. I did like it. I think what I'm more worried about is I hope that Shayna's still grounded enough that she's like Brock Lesnar-esque, but she takes it maybe a bit further with Brock than that. That line I could dig and be with. I just hope that they don't get like too overboard with the character shifts. And I don't think they will. I think that concern's unfounded. I just always worry about like Raw writing and SmackDown writing. Well, more so Raw writing these days than NXT. So we'll have to see how Shayna goes. I think, like I told your mom when we were talking about it, I'm just curious how Shayna's promos are going to be, how she's going to carry herself on this stage relative to NXT. Because again, we never, to your point, we never saw her do anything like this in NXT. Yeah. So I'm just curious how markedly different.
Well, dude, Becky never really climbed the mountain in NXT. Becky got called up before she could ever become a champion in NXT. So we didn't get to this point.
Yeah. So I'm just curious how Shayna's presentation is going to differ between her run in NXT and now on Raw. I think that's just my only reservation, is how different, for better or worse, are the presentations going to be. And I guess we'll see that next week, hopefully, because I fully expect Shayna to be on next week. So we'll see what happens. But yeah,
I hope so, man. I hope so. She's gonna definitely make each episode more interesting that she's on. So I also just am loving some of the dynamics between like the naming conventions and puns that people are coming up with, like Count Shayna or Count Baszler and Becky the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
I'm loving it, man. I'm loving it. But yeah, man. So let me just, I know this is going to sound like I'm this is going to sound like a joke, but I genuinely do want an answer to this. Do you think that they're trying to give Shayna a cannibal or like a vampire gimmick, or is it literally just she's a fucking nut job who bites people?
I'm hoping it's nut job, because that whole reservations I was talking about, that's exactly it. I don't know how I would feel about Shayna having like a cannibal or a vampire character when we didn't even get any hint of that in NXT.
Yeah.
Because like you'd have like I'm sorry, to me, you can be otherworldly and fantastical. Again, look at literally any Lucha Underground commentary we did. We practically splooged over the product.
I mean, dude, Bray, the Fiend. We love the Fiend.
Yeah, we love the Fiend, and Bray's given like hints and stuff like that. And I think that's what I need. Like, if you were gonna do that, like where's point B? Because I saw point A, and you're showing me point C. What happened in between? Even if you alluded to it on social media, like it would be like a weak thing, but I'll take it, So I don't know. I don't know how I'd feel with her being settled with those characters without sufficient exposition. But if she's just straight up nut job, I'm here for it. Like, I was even thinking about, with Shayna like biting people. I was thinking about early heel Mankind, how he just used to like to, put people in the mandible claw and stab himself so that he could feel pain and pull his own hair out. Like, and when we loved it, he went on to be one of the best ever in WWE's view, like a legitimate legend. So if her thing is going to be, not only can I put you to sleep, not only am I an excellent mat wrestler and I'm keeping the tradition of catch wrestling alive, but if I need to, I'll bite your fucking flesh off. Like, yeah, let's do it.
Dude, and you know what, though? I really do hope that it's just a nut job thing, because you could actually explain it. Like, there's actual in-canon, in-universe explanation for why Shayna has stooped to biting people. And it's just desperation, man. It's fucking desperation. She was the NXT Women's Champion. That became her identity. And then she lost to Rhea Ripley. And then she lost the Battle Royal to get another shot at it. And then she didn't win the Royal Rumble. Like, she probably feels like this is her only way of getting the kind of match that she thinks she wants. This is probably her only way in her mind of getting another championship opportunity, is to just go out there and bite someone, for fuck's sakes.
Yeah, exactly.
Like this is like a rock bottom for her,
I completely agree with that. I love that. I love that you even brought that up, because like, how do I get the champion's attention? Because again, a lot like Stardom, right? It's kind of an interesting parallel here, because we know Saki Kashima wants a match with Mayu. Mayu doesn't want to give Saki a matchup. She says, I'm not interested. Shayna would probably think Becky would be the same way. Why would I want to match with somebody who didn't beat me at Survivor Series, despite all the shit she talked, and couldn't even win the Women's Royal Rumble to get a match with me? Yep. Well, I'll just take a piece of your neck with me.
Yeah.
And then that'll make you want to fight me.
Yeah, because let's not forget, too, when Shayna first lost that women's title, she was playing all the mental Olympics in the world. She was talking about, you didn't actually beat me. I beat me. You caught me in a moment of weakness. And then what did she do in the next match where she was challenging Kyrie for the title to try and win it back? She used help. She cheated. Her ego is that fragile. She loses one match in a perfectly legal, perfectly clean way. And she fucking breaks to the point that she's coming up with all these excuses. And then, despite pretending that she has the other person's number and she would beat them 99 times out of 100 and that they just got the one and it was a fluke and all that, she still realizes like she needs help. She, asks her girls to come in and help her win this match, and they do, and she gets the title back. But every match after that, until it's not an option anymore, she needs help to win. And now she's lost 3 huge matches in a row, and this is Shayna at her most desperate. She bit Becky's in the neck off, and yeah, that's like there's all the story in the world there to completely justify it.
Yeah, yeah. I love that, dude. I love that whole breakdown of everything you just did. And to finish my thought, Shayna in her mind is like, okay, well, given that I've had these losses, given that Becky probably wouldn't even look in my direction, it's funny because in her own way, Shayna was kind of in similar Kyrie territory where it's like an afterthought if you're just going to lose these big matches. So what do? I do the one thing that Becky would hate more than anything. I make her look vulnerable. And Becky's reaction, stealing the ambulance, driving herself to the hospital. Becky is so afraid. And see, this is what I mean about mining the narrative gold and mining the psychological gold, because Becky is so terrified of looking vulnerable. She jacked a fucking ambulance just to drive herself to the hospital. Yeah. She is so desperate, like, again, on a psychological level, to show that she's independent, to show that she's strong. She can't let it go. She's finally the man. If she shows that it's getting to her, they'll give the ball to somebody else. And she's kind of mentioned that, before, at least in the past. And then, the narrative kind of changed a little bit. But maybe there's still that fear of, like, if I drop the ball, which maybe in WWE's mind, if I can't even show that I can drive myself to the hospital, they'll be like, oh, well, what are we going to do about Becky? She can't go. Like, she has this pathological need to be on top, and it's not out of greed. It's just out of fear, because I think she feels like she owes it to all of us that didn't turn on her when she tried turning heel, and now she did it, and it's like, I got to go here, and Shayna has something to prove. Like, there's so much to mine here. This could be one of the best matches at Mania. Legitimately, I think there's so much narrative on both sides if you play your cards right.
Yeah, the 3 women's matches at Mania are actually 3 of the matches that I'm most looking forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be fantastic. I hope they can keep this momentum up. I think you even kind of sold me, honestly, because I did like the neck thing, but I had my reservations. But you like kind of giving the motivation and the backdrop for why she would go that far. Like, I'm here for it. We need to put our foot on the gas. We need to tell the story of both of these women, and not just, oh, well, I'm tough. Oh, well, I'm tough. Well, only one of us could be tough. Let's go at it. Like, let's see the vulnerability on both sides and really raise these fucking stakes. Because,
I mean, we're not going to see the vulnerability because they're both so caught up in their own bullshit that they're going to justify their actions with just like, cause I can, like Shane is like going to be like, well, why did I bite Becky in the neck? To show her that she's not unstoppable, to show her that she's just a normal person made of flesh and blood just like anyone else, and to show the WWE universe that same thing. Shayna isn't going to admit, like, I did it because I was desperate. There's no way. And just like Becky isn't going to admit that she felt mortal for the first time in weeks when Shayna did that to her. She's going to be like, that bitch bit me. I'm going to kill her now. Like, they're going to talk their shit. They're not going to be vulnerable unless they, unless one of them does something even more, unless one of them takes it even further. And maybe in that moment they'll be vulnerable, but they'll get right back on their bullshit afterwards. Like, that's how this story's going to go. It's just going to be a whole lot of, arguably toxic masculinity between these 2 women.
Yeah, absolutely. I can understand Shayna not showing vulnerability because I feel like they're going to, again, because of these events and everything, try and really position her as the heel. I would like to see it from Becky, though. I'm going to have to put my foot down on that. I would like to see her just acknowledge.
You don't think it's repetitive, though?
What, if Becky's vulnerable?
Well, if Becky was the same kind of vulnerable that she just was during the whole Asuka build-up, because she was vulnerable for that, and she was all like, oh...
I don't think so, man, because Asuka never bit a fucking chunk out of her neck, though. Like...
But she beat it.
But I mean, yeah, she did beat Asuka.
She was Becky's last significant singles loss going into that.
Wait, are we talking about Asuka or are we talking about Shayna? Like,
Asuka was Becky's last significant singles.
And then I'm saying to you, though, that, like, Asuka never attacked Becky the way that Shayna did. And yes, Becky beat Asuka, but Shayna doesn't have that going against her yet. So I don't see how it would be repetitive, because Becky could even say, this isn't even just about a wrestling ring. Like, I don't even feel like I just had somebody bite a chunk out of my neck. I don't even feel safe. Like, I'm looking over my shoulder, and that's
really
not
don't
me.
think they're going to go that way. And honestly, I don't even know if I would say that that's the best way to go about this, because like Becky, to me, is going to be more angry than scared. You know what I mean? She's going to be more like, you know, the only reason that she could even do that is because she caught me from behind. She caught me off guard. She caught me after a long, hard match. Like, I feel like this is going to be much more of like a fuck you, no, fuck me, no, fuck you. Like a back and forth. Like, they're going to hate each other. They're going to be in each other's throats. I don't think we're going to see any vulnerability whatsoever in this whole thing. Like, we didn't even see vulnerability from Becky other than just like her being like, ow, it hurts after Shayna did it. She immediately, like, you know, shoulders up. She stole a fucking ambulance. She drove herself to the hospital. Like, if you don't get vulnerability in that moment, you're not going to get it throughout the entire feud.
See now, okay, how can I say this? Because I strongly disagree with you, but like I have to parse out where I disagree, because I could understand you saying that you feel like WWE isn't going to do it, but here's my thing. When you say it's going to be more anger than anything, you figure, well, in just 2 minutes, it's going to be like February 15th. We're still live here. WrestleMania is in April, and that's still like a big bridge of time when you're talking about mic work and developments and stuff like that. I could understand being angry the first time. She got me from behind. I wasn't ready. I just had a competitive match with one of my greatest rivals ever. But what about when it happens again?
Well, do you think it's going to, though? Because I do.
I do.
I don't. No, see, I don't think that there's going to be any more biting involved in this feud. I think.
Not, dude. Stop. Because I feel like we're kind of maybe talking past each other. I'm not talking about biting. I'm talking about more generally Shayna getting the upper hand and asserting her dominance on Becky.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm talking about. Dude, that has to happen again. Are you kidding me? Like, because how do you have a match if it doesn't happen again? Like, how do you have a match? Like, I get the whole neck thing, and maybe that's enough to collect the debt, but like, no, it's got to happen again. Otherwise, you don't have a
What
feud.
are we going to do, though, at like Elimination Chamber? Like, are they going to have a match at Elimination Chamber and then the rematch at WrestleMania?
See, I wouldn't want that. I would want... See, because I know we don't have authority figures on Raw, but I would have, like, maybe you could say, like, I don't want to use the line, like, we don't negotiate with terrorists, but, like, that sentiment. Like, you don't just get to really endanger the welfare of one of our top performers and then expect to be rewarded for that. But you did draw a big response.
Do you think they maybe suspend Shayna?
Maybe they suspend Shayna, but they'll be like, we're going to bring you back in time for a women's elimination chamber. If you can win that, you've got Becky at Mania. Because they shouldn't reward her with a title shot immediately, no matter how, even if Becky begs for it. I want Shayna to run roughshod in the chamber. I want her to have a brawn performance, but to actually go all the way and win. And then we get the Mania match. Because I do want to see the other women showcased, even if it's not, that great, because, again, I do expect Shayna to dominate. But yeah, I feel like you have Shayna earn contendership. You have Shayna earn contendership in the chamber. And again, maybe she even serves a suspension, which is great for Shayna, because, well, you're bringing me back for the chamber. And if I'm suspended, you know what that means? That means Becky can't get a hold of me, which means I can train for dismembering these other 5 women that are going to be locked in there with me. And then she wins it. You've got your path to Mania. Becky, meanwhile, at least for me, on a fucking tear. Like, the way we saw Charlotte handle Sarah Logan, maybe you get some lower tier girls for Becky. I don't even know what names we could draw up. Maybe like Alana, whatever, because she is still a babyface.
Maybe like Chelsea and Deanna. Like, we saw them recently. Maybe them.
Chelsea, Deanna, I would love if there was a segment where Lana cut Becky off. Like, Becky, nobody cares about you or what happened to you. Everything's about me. And she just keeps Lana in the Disarmer, which would get a huge fucking pop. Yeah. Like, have Becky to a fucking boil. Like, I am going to go out of my fucking mind. And again, maybe vulnerability, maybe you and I are both right. Because, again, I think it's ludicrous to think that Shayna isn't going to get the upper hand again.
Right.
But maybe you're also right that Becky's in such a top spot. Vulnerability, especially the same kind, would be weird. But I think maybe you and I can agree. She should at least, because you were saying anger, and to piggyback off of that, it shouldn't just be the anger that it was like, it was done to me. It should be anger like, they're not letting me get my hands on her. And like, I have to hurt somebody. Because, like, otherwise it's trapped in me and it's destroying me inside. And, yeah, I would just, Lana, Chelsea, Deanna, just anybody that you can bring up. And I don't necessarily like Chelsea and Deanna being squashed. And yeah, poor fucking Kyrie. Maybe they could do her too. Because I honestly, at this moment, just quick sidebar, I don't think Kyrie's resigned. I think she's going to leave. That's just kind of the vibe that I get. I'll be shocked if I hear that she resigned. Pleasantly surprised, but shocked. Yeah.
How wonderful is it, though, that if she is not going to resign, that we are deeply entrenched into the Stardom universe so that when she comes back, we'll be right there to experience it.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I know some people have reservations about her going back to Stardom. One huge Kyrie fan that I follow, we kind of follow each other. They were like, I see Kyrie's career only lasting like 2 more years if she goes to Stardom with how physical the style can be and stuff. But we won't know until it happens. So I'm very curious, but keeping the focus on this, I think just us having a very thorough discussion about it shows like how big a deal this match is. And it's on WWE to really play their cards right, because Becky needs to cool down now. Like I don't mean to like tread on the Becky fans, because I was rallying for her, especially when she was the underdog and she was hungry. We both wanted her to get her championship. Well, not only did she get it, she's had a hell of a run with it. Like, it's over. I feel like it should be Shayna's time, personally. I feel like it should be Shayna's time.
Dude, if they do put Shayna in a chamber, I almost feel like Becky would help her to win it.
That would be fucking fascinating. That would be fascinating, because then she would help Shayna win it, right? And then to me, Shayna would win the title. But then Becky's immediate feud, like after she gets a rematch and she loses that, would be the person that she screwed, like in the Elimination Chamber. Yeah. Like, I haven't forgotten. You don't have the title now. I can have you all to myself. We're settling this. Yeah. And you do that. I'd love that, dude. See, that's what I'm talking about, man. That multi-layered storytelling. I love the energy you've been bringing. I've tried to like come up with stuff. Like, it's not, when you have such a stacked roster right now, and it is fucking stacked, you could do it. I would love that. If she pulled a Shawn Michaels to Shayna's Taker, fucking popped up from the floor or whatever, or like took a key and like forced her way open, and Shayna's like, maybe even Shayna, because WWE doesn't know how to fucking write, so I feel like, this would be something they do. Maybe she kind of recedes into the corner, kind of slumps into the corner and just kind of watches, and Becky just lays out whoever it is. Like, who's one babyface that could really take it to Shayna?
Liv. I mean, she wouldn't take it to Shayna, but she's like one of the. I would argue right now that Liv Morgan is the top non-Becky Lynch babyface on the Raw Women's division.
That's fair. Yeah. And then she just kind of lays Liv out, which would actually is a perfect example, because we're hoping that Liv gets elevated from the Ruby feud.
Or you know what? If we want to play a little looser and it doesn't have to be a rigid babyface, Asuka would be perfect for that.
Yeah. Oh, well, it would. Yeah. Yeah, it would. Like, Asuka, I've already collected my debt from you. I don't want to face you again. I want to face the person that's amassed an even bigger debt from me than you ever have. Yeah, I love that. I love everything about that. And hell, maybe even with Asuka, we could transition, if Kyrie does stay, into that Kabuki Warriors, because I feel like that's the last thing that would really get Kyrie hopefully over or get her in a higher spot, is feuding with Asuka.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot of possibilities here. Just our conversation about it has shown me the possibilities that exist here. And yeah, I'm just really looking forward to what could be an insane match at WrestleMania, and I'm hoping it is. And I'm hoping both women are all the better for it. And let's really bring it to prominence. Let's put that fucking Raw Women's title on display the best way we can. Let's do it.
All right, man. We really got into the weeds on that. So
yeah, we did.
The only other Raw related stuff that we kind of have to talk about is that's right. This week there was some stuff that wasn't related to anything the previous week. So like we had the Street Profits versus Mojo Rawley and Riddick Moss, and the Street Profits them pretty quickly. They pinned Moss actually, and then Moss ended up rolling up Mojo Rawley to win the 24/7 title. And I saw somewhere Riddick Moss is now, I think, the third longest reigning 24/7 champion ever.
Oh wow! Already?
Yeah,
shit.
After like 4 days.
Jesus.
Yeah. So that was a thing. We also got Ricochet versus Bobby Lashley 1-on-1. Ricochet won again with a 630. Not really anything else to come out of that. And then I think, we can get to our sort of main event section of Raw. Seth Rollins, Buddy Murphy, AOP, Kevin Owens, and the Viking Raiders. and Samoa Joe as well, because he kind of rejoined the fray this week. Um, so last week, let me actually just kind of back up a little bit. Let's see that. Ooh, clicked wrong there. There we go. Okay. Okay, here we go. Last week, Rollins, we had the big triple threat. It was Rollins versus Lashley versus Ricochet, and the winner of that match would go on to face Brock Lesnar. Well, we know that Ricochet won that with the 630. We got Ricochet cutting a promo last week talking about how determination can outweigh probability. But also last week, we got Kevin Owens and the Viking Raiders versus Murphy and the AOP in an elimination match where Eric got eliminated relatively early due to Seth Rollins' interference. He actually stomped Eric and then threw him back in. And Ivar injured his shoulder. He was trying to do like a cross body onto like the side of the ring, and he landed right on that LED board that is on like the ring side. And it left Kevin Owens all by himself. Owens managed to eliminate Murphy and Akam, but Razor beat him with a couple of like big, like almost like Ron Simmons style spine busters.
Yeah.
Plus, he also had help because Rollins did end up distracting Owens at one point. It might have even been at more than one point. So yeah, Owens got laid out, and Razor won the match for the team. And then later on the night, Seth told everyone to congratulate them and all that shit. And this was like a prelude to the main event match, which was Rollins lastly lived with Ricochet. Rollins didn't even get involved in the finish because it was just Ricochet pinning Bobby. But then immediately after that, Brock hit the F5 on Ricochet. We get to this week, and this week we get another in-ring promo. Rollins talking about, he's here to lead us all into the future, and his patience is running thin with Owens and company. And basically, this entire segment was kind of designed to reveal that Samoa Joe is back, and we get a 4-on-4 match: Rollins, Murphy, and the AOP versus Owens, Joe, and the Viking Raiders.
Yeah, I thought it was a really fun match. Very, very competitive. I'm glad to see Buddy Murphy in this spot. I'm glad to see that Joe's okay. Kevin Owens' is babyface momentum. You'll love to see it. On the Raw before this, where he did get the eliminations and everything, the crowd gave him a standing ovation, which I fucking loved. Again, I'm here for all of it. And Seth and the Disciples, they win again. As commentary said, Seth sneaking through the back door, getting the curb stomp, and that allows the team to get the win. Now, I remember watching this match, but I forget like the pinning finish. Who pinned who?
Well, I know that Joe tapped Murphy out in the clutch, but the referee didn't see it because of a distraction. And then Rollins curb stomped Joe, and Murphy pinned him.
Okay, so yeah, it doesn't surprise me that Joe ate the pin, but really cool though that Murphy was the one to get the pin, even if it was from a heavy assist from Rollins. I will say, as much as I enjoyed the match, as much as I've been enjoying this dynamic, I wanted to ask you, because again, we've been very conversant tonight, you and I, like on really a lot of these different angles, and this is all still just Raw stuff. We haven't even touched SmackDown yet. Do you feel like the babyface faction is taking too many L's here? Or do you think it's really necessary to solidify Seth and Disciples as like a dominant force? Like, how are you feeling about the booking?
You know what? I think that the people that need to be booked strongly are being booked strongly. I think they're making Buddy Murphy credible. They're making Kevin Owens look like an absolute rock star. Like he's fighting all these like 2 and 3 and 4-on-1 disadvantages and not necessarily coming out on top, but making more of a dent than most people would. I think they're doing a pretty good job of maintaining a balance where it doesn't really feel like anyone is getting buried, and even like you mentioned, Joe got pinned here, but it was because of, and it was after he won the match already and the ref just didn't see it, but then it was because of the Seth Rollins distraction and the curb stomp. So I think they're doing a good job of keeping the people strong that need to be kept strong and not really making anyone look too bad.
Yeah, I think I can agree with you there. Because, I mean, we always talk about how, like, every wrestling promotion, every angle, however you want to put it, like, needs strong heels for it to work. And you've got strong heels here. I mean, this team keeps winning no matter the combination. Seth just looks all the more smarmy because of it, because he's been saying all of this and then they go out and do it, which just infuriates us because, the traditional logic, we want to see you get your ass beat. So now whichever babyface does it, even if it is just still Kevin Owens and some combination of people, it'll be a bigger deal when it finally happens. Or maybe it's just not something that they can that they're meant to accomplish. And it'll go to some other faction, which I think that would be great as well. But I think it's wonderful that Seth has completely bounced back from the atrocious face run, and he's really in a rhythm as a heel right now. And I'm glad that Buddy Murphy's associating with this Seth Rollins, because I think everything's kind of coming together at the perfect time. And AOP hasn't even been bad. I haven't complained about them like being green or dangerous or whatever. I feel like they've been solid in their role. So yeah, I'm really digging the faction, man. I'm digging the faction. I'm digging the whole warfare. And I just wonder though when the first bit of conflict for the heels is going to come. But we may still be a ways away from that. And as long as they keep it entertaining, I don't mind. So I guess that's all there is to say about it.
All right, and that, I believe, that covers Raw from last week. So that means we can move on. Well, from Raw from both weeks, actually. So we can move on to SmackDown. Man, there's a lot to talk about with SmackDown. So let's just start with Dirt Sheet. So that's like the easiest starting point. Last week we did the Dirt Sheet. They did the whole Once Upon a Time on the Dirt Sheet thing. New Day came out. We got some trash talk, and I think Miz and Morrison attacked Big E, and then the Usos came out, and this was to set up for the Usos versus Rudolph.
Yeah. I've you know what? I feel like I fed you a question on the last thing, so I guess I'll take the ball in this segment. I'm gonna be honest. I love Morrison and I love the Miz. I didn't care for the Dirt Sheet video thing. I thought it was cringe. I didn't really like it that much. Maybe that's the point, because that these guys think that they're like such elite actors and so important, and then that's the final product of their film. So maybe it's like, what's that word? I feel like there's a word for that, but it's like that they feel this way, and yet we see it, and it's like, oh, so it's
delusional?
actually like this. Delusional, maybe. I feel like I was thinking for a specific term, but I'm not going to waste time and cause dead air for that. So yeah, I really didn't care for it, but maybe that's the point. In which case I can lessen the blow a little bit. The important thing is these guys seem like they're having fun, and that makes me happy. Really excited for their match with New Day at Super Showdown. I'll probably seek that out on my own time. I got to give them credit. They've actually done a low-key decent job with Super Showdown. I even told you before we went live, sometimes I forget that it's even a Saudi show. With how they've been promoting and building it. But yeah, then we get to Rudolph Usos. I mean, not bad. Not bad. It was what it was. I'm just glad to have the Usos back on my TV. And I do believe they got the win here, right? If I remember correctly.
Shit, man. I don't actually know who got the win here.
Because I feel like it was Usos.
You're probably right. Let me see if I can find a definitive answer, because I don't have it in my notes. Like I said earlier, my notes aren't as thorough here.
Right.
Let's see. Of course, I pull it up and it goes straight to the last page, and we're on the first segment. Here we go. The Usos won.
Yeah, I figured.
Jimmy did a super flash splash on, let's say, Bobby Roode.
You know what, dude? Since we're not covering Super Showdown, I don't feel bad about this. I'm just going to say to you, because again, we're not covering it, so no preview predictions. I feel like given recent Twitter interactions, and especially this most recent SmackDown, I do think Dirt Sheet's going to win the tag titles, and I think we're going to get a Miz Morrison Usos feud, and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for it.
Are the Dirt Sheet challenging for the tag titles at the Saudi show at Super Showdown?
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying I think they're going to win that challenge and then go on and feud with the Usos.
Right. No, I was picking up what you were laying down. I just wasn't sure if that was at the Saudi show or if if they were in some other match.
Oh no, it's at the Saudi show. Yeah, it's Super Showdown. And I think that's going to be a great feud. So yeah, I definitely think that's happening now. I mean,
tonight's main event between Miz Morrison and then Roman and Bryan was great.
Yeah, it was. Oh my God. Really I thoroughly enjoyed that. So yeah, solid stuff for the Usos. Just glad to see them back. And I can't wait to see them back in the tag title picture, especially because, as I just said, I feel like Miz and Morrison are going to be waiting for them. So I think those will be a couple bangers there for the tag titles.
Yeah. All right. Well, then we get to this week. Actually, let me just make sure that there wasn't anything else last week. No, yeah, we get to this week, and I mean, do you want to talk about all the Twitter beef going on between Roman Reigns and Morrison?
No, you know what? I think I'll gloss over it because it pretty much culminated in this tag match, and we already saw that it was great. But yeah, guys, it was
SmackDown tonight, actually,
which was amazing to see Morrison in the main event,
and of course, fucking Corbin stood tall at the end.
Yeah, dude. The thing, I haven't even hated this feud, but even I'm like now, like, okay, if the dog food wasn't the fucking end of it, like, why wasn't the dog food, like, they should have flipped it. If you knew you were going to do a cage match at the Saudi show, why not do that? And then be like, oh, Roman, that was just a steel cage. Like, anybody can win a steel cage match with a little bit of luck, and then you do the dog food thing. Because, like, that to me was the payoff. The Corbin getting, like, splattered with the dog food. I don't care about this feud anymore. You did the payoff. So... yeah, I'm a bit frustrated with it now. Like, because we all know, right, that Roman's probably going to challenge for the world title at Mania. And that's how, at least, it's really looking to me. So let's stop spinning our wheels. If you need a filler feud for Roman, there's got to be somebody else, isn't there? Jesus.
Sheamus.
Yeah, really. Fucking Sheamus, which we'll get to him. Yeah, I've really got nothing else to say, man. So unless you want to move on to the next thing.
I mean, dude, honestly, we just mentioned it. Why don't we just talk about Sheamus, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because last week he faced Apollo Crews, beat him with a brogue kick, and then after the match he was threatening to do another brogue kick, but then Shorty G came down and made the save, and Shorty G just did a brogue kick for his trouble. And then this week we got a fucking handicap match, and Sheamus beat both of them at the same time. God damn it! I shouldn't say he beat both of them at the same time because he didn't actually pin Shorty G, as if he hasn't done that enough times already. He pinned Apollo Crews with another brogue kick, but still, like, fucking hell, man. 2-on-1 handicap match. Sheamus should be feuding with Roman for the next month before Roman moves on to The Fiend.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to be this dominant, like, why are we wasting fucking time? Like, you might as well just give him the big game in the locker room because you've just shown that, like, all these undercard guys, they can't compete with Sheamus.
I wonder
like,
if
literally.
They're building up to another Sheamus-Bryan feud.
Probably. I don't know why Vince is such a hard-on for those. I mean, because it's not
probably
like
because he keeps trying to do it and it keeps getting derailed. Like he did it one time at WrestleMania 28, I want to say, in 2012, and he's been trying to do it again ever since with more stakes, and he just keeps getting derailed. Like one time it was Bryan getting all of this crowd attention and affection, and everyone's forcing Vince to put him in the main event. Another time Bryan's injured, then Bryan had to retire. Well, then next time that Bryan was able to actually work at WrestleMania, Sheamus was kind of not around anymore. So, like, it's like Vince is just waiting for the stars to align to be able to do Bryan Sheamus at Mania.
Sheamus, you're welcome for your best match that you're going to have.
Yeah.
I'm just going to
we say that. We said that going into WrestleMania 28, too.
Yeah, but clearly it was less about the match and more about we need to make Sheamus look really, really strong.
I got that Breakfast Club shit going on, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So personally, I'm not here for it. But when the fuck has my opinion ever mattered? So they're gonna do it. It's whatever. So yeah, I mean, I personally, dude, I'm not even gonna be like, oh, Gable should go to AEW or New Japan. Which, speaking of positive things, subscribe to New Japan World if Japanese wrestling is your thing, folks. Yeah, at the very least, like, being realistic, why not just send him to NXT? Like, because I feel like Gable, if we went back to, like, the American Alpha, just as, like, a solo thing, and the Olympian, we already were talking about in the Discord, Gable versus Grimes, Gable versus Balor. You have options.
Yes.
And Apollo could retread the ground that he already walked, maybe find a personality along the way, and that's not trying to be a diss, but he never did. No, dude,
we all kind of felt like when Apollo showed up on Raw randomly, we were just like, why? Like, it's too soon. Like, why?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't even know who this man is, and you're already trying to put him, like, on your, that you proclaim as, like, the A show. Like, what the fuck? So yeah, like, everybody needs to fucking simmer down. Okay, and like stop bitching Apollo and Gable out, and yeah, he's Gable because clearly the Shorty G thing where I thought, well, maybe it's like, no, it's exactly what you think it is. This is a jobber gimmick now. You're gonna see him eat so many pins. Yeah, just put him back on NXT.
Do you have to be right about this?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
No, I do agree that to me, Gable back on NXT as a single competitor has a lot of promise. Apollo Crews, though, I don't know. I mean, if they could find the kind of spark of inspiration in NXT that they found with turning Finn Balor heel with Apollo Crews, I'd be for it. But I just don't feel like that's all that likely.
Yeah. I can understand that. I feel like WWE probably doesn't want to give up on Gable, and they could either, they could take or leave Apollo. That's just the impression that I get from how they handle him.
I could take or leave Apollo. I want to like Apollo because he's like a big, muscled up dude that can do flippy shit, but he just doesn't. I just don't find myself caring about him.
Yeah. I don't know. It was kind of disheartening to see Sheamus just win this match.
Outright.
Yeah, he really did. It was fucking dominant and decisive. Yep. So yeah, I just don't know where Sheamus goes from here. I've been hearing that maybe, because I know like we talked about the Sheamus Bryan matchup, which is definitely on the table.
I was gonna say if it's not Sheamus Bryan, I would love for him to work with Ali, as long as it's like not as one sided as this has been. As long as Ali gets a couple wins over him.
I mean, it probably would be, but I can understand though why you would want that match, because like Ali needs something too.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ,
Ali hasn't been on my TV in far too long, and I know Foster agrees with me there.
Yeah, the one rumor I heard that I could readily believe, simply because if you notice, like Sheamus is picking on like these smaller guys and stuff. I've been hearing that Sheamus might work with Braun at Mania. And I could buy that for the Intercontinental title, because it's like, oh, you're picking on these small guys. Why not pick on somebody your own size? Well, I guess not your own size. And, they do the Intercontinental title. So, yeah, that's kind of where my chips are right now.
God, oh, man. It's interesting, though. Ooh. I don't I like it. I do kind of, I don't hate it. I don't know. I'm just thinking about tonight with the glitches that were going on. But the first glitch played during the Carmella Bailey match. The second glitch though was during Elias's entrance. So I'm thinking like if we're really like interpreting this literally, whoever this static is targeting, it seems like they're more specifically targeting Elias than like the Intercontinental title picture in general. Because I initially, oh shit, like Elias is coming out. We've got Sami Zayn and Cesaro in the ring. This is all reeking of Intercontinental Championship picture. But if we take it more literally, it's just they're targeting Elias, and it would make sense if they would go after Elias specifically, as long as it's a heel, which I'm assuming it will be, because I'm thinking it's going to be Killer Cross. I'm hoping.
Dude, that'd be, oh my God.
I know.
Oh my God.
But him going after Elias immediately would make sense, because Elias is like that mid-card baby face. And maybe his gimmick is that he wants people to take wrestling seriously again. I don't know. I feel like that's been done to death, but if anyone can make it unique and original, it's fucking Cross.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm very intrigued by it, and we'll talk more about that later, but like Elias is in a weird place to me. And the only reason I even bring him up is because he and Braun Strowman have been kind of buddy-buddy lately. So I'm wondering if we're going to get like a tag team match, Strowman and Elias versus Cesaro and Nakamura soon. Or because Nakamura wasn't on the show tonight, probably work visa related, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
Because he probably has one for the US and not for Canada, because they were in Canada tonight. But that doesn't mean that he's just gone from the picture. I'm sure he'll be back. So I'm assuming next week even we'll probably get a tag team match, Braun and Elias versus Cesaro and Nakamura. And I'm wondering if maybe somebody will, come out and help. So, Zayn, Nakamura, Cesaro, that whole crew to beat the team of Elias and Strowman. And if it would be anyone, I could see it being Sheamus. That would make sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess we'll see what happens there. I feel like we've exhausted that narrative thread. So Yeah, I guess we
What
can keep it
even
going.
was that narrative thread? What were we even talking about?
We were talking about Sheamus winning the handicap match initially. That was point
Oh,
A.
okay, yeah. Well, you know what though? It brings us into our next segment perfectly then, because our next segment is Elias related. Because last week he started to sing, but then Cesaro and Sami Zayn interrupt him. Sami complains about Elias interrupting him last week and rants about how, he's in a crisis and Elias tried to make a fool out of him and all that stuff. And then we get the match that we wanted the previous week, Elias versus Cesaro. Elias does win with his top rope elbow drop, and I think that that's the last time we see them. But then we get to this week, and dude, before we even get to this week, do you have anything to say about this whole Elias Cesaro situation from last week? Because this week I want us to put some actual attention on, because I loved it.
Yeah, not really much. I love Cesaro so much as an in-ring competitor. I want him to have more competitive matches. I would kill to go back to the year, what was it, like 2015, 2016, when he was having those bangers with John Cena for the U.S. title. I'd kill to have that Cesaro back. Jesus Christ. Not that this Cesaro isn't entertaining, because we're about to get to tonight, but just from an in-ring standpoint, I miss him being competitive and having fucking bangers, man. I miss it so much. But we get to tonight, and I'm going to give you the floor because I know you absolutely fucking love this. So walk us through it, man.
Dude, Cesaro was the comedy gold of this bit. So we get to the ring, and Sami Zayn is in there in the middle of the ring with the mic, with the spotlight, looking like the same exact setup that they do for Cesaro, except Sami has a little tiny ukulele. And then Cesaro has a fucking bell cow. Or a bell cow. Christ, I'm talking about running backs. A cowbell. He has a cowbell, John. He has a cowbell. And it's so funny, too, because you could tell at the very beginning, before Elias interrupted, that Sami did not want to sing. Sami didn't want to sing. He didn't want to strum that ukulele. He didn't want to actually make any music at all. Because he was like intentionally avoiding it. He was like voice checks. He was like, like he was doing like random voice checks, and then he intentionally, because it looked like he was like waiting for Elias's music to hit, and it was taking longer than he expected. So he literally did a countdown. He was like 3, 2, 1, and then and then the music hit, and he stopped. And it was like, okay, so this is where we're going. But then we actually got them playing, because Elias gets in the ring, and Sammy's like, this is a protest, and you're interrupting it. And Elias is like, well, this is a counter protest. And then he like sat up in the corner and watched Sammy play. And the best thing was fucking Cesaro doing the Will Ferrell cowbell thing. And I was just waiting, man. I was just waiting for somebody to make the joke. We need more cowbell. But it was even better because the crowd participated and they were chanting, "We want cowbell!" It was incredible. It was the best thing. Oh my god, I loved it. And Cesaro is such a fucking great heel, because he heard the chants, "We want cowbell," and he teased like he was gonna do the ultimate babyface thing and play the shit out of it, and then he threw it to the side. I got so worked in this segment. It was glorious. I love it.
Yeah, you even were talking about that in the Discord. Like, and you know the running joke with you, like we made it before, like you get more work by people than the product, but the product actually worked you tonight. I was so pleased.
It super did, and it made me feel so good. I had so much fun with this segment, honestly. I might have had too much fun with this segment. It might have been an unhealthy amount of fun. Yeah. I think I enjoyed it too. You know, not being such a sourpuss and everything.
I feel like, yeah, it achieved what it set out to do. I like that the pieces are coming together, that all these people could interact for the IC title. I think you said something similar, like when we were on together before it went live. Like, because you have Elias and Braun, they work together. Knock obviously lost the Intercontinental title, so he has his stake. Sammy's got to get back in the ring eventually and compete. And Cesaro, it would give Cesaro something great to do too.
Dude,
so
I want Cesaro, the cowbell player, to become a regular thing in WWE and build up to a point that we could actually bring Christopher Walken on Raw for a surprise appearance.
See, that would be a guest spot that I would not mind, and I think could
really especially if it blew off at WrestleMania.
Yeah, that would be fucking amazing, dude.
Cesaro comes out with his cowbell, and then he looks like he's gonna throw it away, but then fucking Christopher Walken shows up on the Titantron. "I've got a fever. and the only cure is more cowbell. And so I was just like, well, you know what? It's Christopher Walken. I can't just not. And he plays the shit out of that thing.
Yeah. Oh my god. And then Michael Cole could be like, "What a moment at WrestleMania!"
Of course, Cole would ruin it. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. This to me is like, maybe it's just because it's like an inside joke and I know that not everyone would get it, but I love that the crowd participated and they were like, "We want cowbell."
Yeah.
And like they shut that shit down, but it was perfect that they even did it because like it made Sammy into that much bigger of a dick.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
God, you not only are you out here trying to play your fucking ukulele and you can't even sing and it's like you're not even trying to sing because you're out here doing voice checks and shit. But now you're gonna take away our fucking cowbell too. You monster.
He's so fucking good. He got Canada to boo him twice.
Dude, I was Canada, that's right. Oh my god.
Sammy's god tier. And again, I stand by what I said in the
Discord. I think we need to start kind of reevaluating our own evaluation of Sami Zayn because for the longest time we saw him as a great worker and now he's just getting so rarely and so poorly used and not used at all as an in-ring performer that we have almost allowed ourselves to forget how exceptional this motherfucker is. And now this dude that was like the most lovable, beloved, amazing, like literally his character was just that he was just a nice guy in NXT and it took him to the world title because he was so fucking good at it, is one of the like he that to me that sounds an awful lot like Daniel Bryan. Now I'm not trying to say that he's necessarily on the same level as Daniel Bryan, but maybe that's just because he's not booked as well as Daniel Bryan, honestly. Like he's an amazing performer.
Dude, Sammy's so good. I really just wish he was in like the Corbin spot right now because Corbin's been doing this whole thing with Reigns. I would love to know like what Sammy could do in that spot.
Oh, well, and that's the beautiful thing too is you could have a Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns feud without a single Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns match because Sammy has his stable.
Yeah, that's true.
It would just be Roman versus Nakamura and Roman versus Cesaro, and I really would love it if Sheamus got added to that because we already know Sheamus and Cesaro have a fuck ton of history. So like those three guys under Sami Zayn's sort of guidance in a feud with Roman Reigns, I think that would be really cool. I think that would be great.
Yeah.
Sammy would be the one. Sammy would be the one doing all the talking because like Sheamus isn't a bad talker, but he's not on the same level as Sammy.
No, he's not. Yeah, we need Sammy to be given more because I stand by what I said in the Discord that I feel like he's underrated wouldn't be the word because I feel like we do appreciate him, but definitely underutilized by the company relative to Corbin and The Fiend.
I feel like I have personally been underrating him for a while now because of the lack of use and the poor use.
Yeah. Because you give him something like this, which I think for any other heel, they would bungle so goddamn bad, but Sammy milks it for all that it's worth. Amazing. And Cesaro. Got to give Cesaro credit, too, for like reading the crowd and knowing the heel beats, you know? It's good shit.
It almost brings me back to the Bobby Lashley sisters segment where Sammy tried his ass off to just make the segment rather than just being terrible. He tried so hard to make it so bad it's good. And he couldn't redeem it, but he was damn sure going to die trying, you know?
Yeah. And I love that. I love that Sammy. And the funny thing is, like, when you hear Sammy in interviews, like, he'll say that, like, Kevin Owens fucking loves wrestling. Like, he breathes this business. But I think after Sammy's injury and the time off and everything, he could, like, take it or leave it. But yet he's so good at it. Like, I love that. I love that he's, like, divorced enough that he's not going to, like, kill himself for this business. But when he's a part of it, he's gonna make fucking money doing it. Like, I love that, man. I love that shit. Keep it going, Sammy.
Sami Zayn as the new brain. Sammy the Brain Zayn.
Dude, I just seeing how good his heel work is, man, and I've been saying it, and I'll keep saying it. How we talked about the end of the decade, you know, recently going into 2020. Yeah. I'd say going, you know, at the end of this decade, I'll still be fucking saying how I wish Sammy never would have gotten injured because I loved him flirting with the main event. I wanted him to be WWE champion. Me. I was the guy that I always respected Sammy, but I was never a fan of his. But him as a heel fucking works for me. He is
How weird is that, though, that they're so much better on the main roster with the opposite alignments that they were so good as in NXT?
I know, right?
Like Sammy
Just,
was
yeah.
the best babyface in the wrestling world for so long in NXT, and now he's one of our favorite heels on the main roster. And Kevin Owens was one of the best heels in the world and feuding with like 8 different people at the same time in NXT. And now he's one of the best baby faces that's going right now on Raw's main roster, like on WWE's main roster. Like
Yeah.
another crazy 180 that's blowing my mind.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely. Completely agree.
But it's not blowing my mind in the sense that I can't comprehend it because I love it.
Yes. Yes, I am 150% here for it too, dude. I really can't wait to see what Sammy does at Mania. If it's just managing, if he is going to get in the IC title picture, because he still hasn't won a fucking championship on the main roster, which is a fucking crock.
Riddick Moss won a singles championship on WWE on the main roster before Sami Zayn.
Oh. Oh. It hurts, fam.
Yeah.
It hurts me.
Yeah.
Christ. All right, what came after this?
Goldberg.
Oh, Oldberg? Okay, let's talk about it.
I mean, he's challenging the Fiend. He said, "You're next" to the fucking Fiend.
Like the Fiend gives a fuck.
I was gonna say, "Oh, William."
Yeah.
He's gonna learn, not today, but he's gonna learn at Super Showdown in 2 weeks, or like a week and 5 days.
Now let me, because again, I don't want to jump the gun, but I know we're going to get to like everything eventually. How do you feel about the Fiend, / Bray, like interacting? Well, really, I guess more Bray, because the Fiend doesn't attack anybody yet. But how do you feel about Bray, like interacting with these old fucks right now?
Yeah, well,
I feel like he's made
since you
gold
brought
out
it
of
up, we might as well talk about this week. He interacted with Hulk Hogan too, and I fucking love it. It makes him feel like such a big deal, and like, it's one of those things where we always talk about the WWE needs to find a guy that could go toe to toe with The Rock on the mic. WWE needs to find a guy that could go toe to toe with Mick Foley on the mic. And I think that, we could consider at the very least Hulk Hogan, maybe not Bill Goldberg, he's not known as a mic worker, but Hulk Hogan would be in that group as well, of the guys that like we need to find somebody that can go toe to toe with this guy on the mic. And Bray fucking did it. He did great against Hogan on the mic. Goldberg, it's more of just like he's you kind of get that sort of mystique when he's just gracing us with his presence. Like his existence just gives off a certain thing that you can't really describe. But Bray still, I think he handled it well. I don't think he discredited Goldberg in any way. But I think that he still, like, he did his thing. He did a good job of selling Goldberg as a threat without selling him as someone that he was afraid of. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I thought this came off really well, which I think that was the big litmus test for Bray, is like, okay, we're going to put you with guys now that are like over the hill. Can you make this interesting? And he did.
I think the match is going to be the real test there, because if he can have a match against Goldberg that's like really character driven and doesn't suck, that's going to be like a huge achievement to me for Bray.
I think it can, dude, so long as it doesn't go over 5 minutes. I think this should be a quick as fuck match. And like you said, with character work, like Goldberg, the character is very explosive. He should get a spear immediately. But I was going to say,
I agree with you to agree, but I would say no more than 10 minutes rather than 5. I think you could go 7 or 8 if you play with it a little bit, like take it to the outside, do some shit out there. Like I think you can do more than just like 3 or 4 minute squash. But I definitely agree that they need to keep it short. This can't be like a 15-minute match. Like, if I remember correctly, Brock versus Goldberg from Mania a couple years ago went like 13 or 14 minutes. And that felt like it went a good amount of time because it didn't feel like it dragged too long, but I would not want Bray and Goldberg to go that long even.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, I can meet you where you're at with like, the 7 minute kind of time. Like, you don't have to make it super short at Super Showdown. But, enough to breathe, but not enough to expose anybody, because I feel like...
Was it WrestleMania 33 that we got Brock Goldberg?
Because it's 36 this year, right?
Yeah, it was. And oh my God, that match was only 4 minutes and 45 seconds. Wow.
Yeah.
I thought that match was so much longer than that. Holy shit.
And yet they completely redeemed their WrestleMania 20 match that like tried to go on longer and this and that. Yeah.
God, well then, you know what? That being said, maybe I will sign on with you and say 5 minutes or less. I like, if you go a little over 5 minutes, we're not going to kill you for it. But like, yeah, you really do need to keep it short. Because, like, didn't Goldberg work like a tag match with Roman Reigns last year too?
I I think you're thinking Undertaker, dude, at Extreme, or Roman Reigns at Extreme Rules, dude. I think you're thinking
what
Roman Reigns.
What was Goldberg's match after the Undertaker match then? Because I know that he had the terrible match with Undertaker.
Dolph Ziggler?
Was it? Oh, at SummerSlam. Got it. That's hilarious.
That's why I'm here, bud.
Yes. Oh my god. I can't believe he actually worked the fucking old face.
Old Berg versus Old Face.
Yes.
Once in a lifetime.
And dude, there is definitely a common theme here. In Goldberg's last like 7 matches, the ones that went over 5 minutes were the ones that are historically bad. Like literally his, 7 matches ago was his match with Brock at Mania 20. And that went over 13 minutes and everyone hated it and it sucked. And more recently, his match at Super Showdown went 8 minutes, 35 seconds, which was legendarily bad to the point that it was actually my worst match of the year, despite the fact that I never even watched the thing because I've just seen highlights of how many botches they had and how bad it was. But other than that, Goldberg beating Owens for the title was quick. Goldberg squashing Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series was obviously quick. His match against Lesnar, where he lost the title to Lesnar at WrestleMania, was under 5 minutes. And even his match with Ziggler was 1:50. So yeah, keep it under 5 minutes, and you're not going to have people bitching about how miserable it is. So yeah, I'm going to sign on with you. You actually, all that hullabaloo actually convinced me to sign on with you.
Oh my god. So this is what it feels like. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, man. Well, now let's talk about to me, the much bigger deal on so many levels. I'm just going to ask you straight up, because if anybody knows how to pull the knife out quick, it's you. Are we doing Fiend Hogan? Or was this just a tease to give him a run? You think we're doing it?
I think we're doing it. I think we're going to do it.
Holy fuck, dude.
I think they might build up to another Saudi show, though. They might do it like the fall Saudi show, whatever that happens to be. They might save it for that.
How do you feel about it? Because I want to keep hearing your opinions before I give mine, because it gives me time.
Well, I mean, everybody already knows that Hogan is like a piece of shit and everything, but if he comes back, puts over the Fiend, and leaves, I'm not going to be angry about it. And especially if it's like it'll be like almost like a Goldberg match where he'll come in, he'll do like the 5 moves, it'll be like we'll get like maybe like a test of strength at the beginning, and it'll be back and forth and stuff, but then Hogan will start hulking up. He'll do the finger wag. He'll do the Irish whip. He'll do the boot. He'll do the leg drop. He'll get a 1 count, and then the Fiend will kill him, and that'll be the match. I would be cool with that. I wouldn't be stoked about it, but I would be fine with it. The thing that concerns me is that they're going to actually ask Bray to sell and bump for Hulk fucking Hogan. You know what I mean?
Which, God, man. Like, honestly...
Low-key, I'm almost more looking forward to the promos than the match.
First of all, me too, after the taste we got tonight. Second of all, I would rather they go the route, and I can't believe I'm able to make this reference, but watch me still botch it. I would rather they go the route of Hogan Taker 91. I think it was 91, the first match where Taker won his first WWF title. Because Taker
did Survivor Series 91?
I believe so. I think.
Yeah.
I could.
Yep.
I was right. Holy shit. Go me. Because Taker. Thank you. I'll be here all week. Taker did sell a bit, but it wasn't in a way that like damaged the mystique. So I think
the match went almost 13 minutes.
Yeah, and obviously we're in a much different era, so that's a no-go here. But like, the only thing I hated about that match, and we even kind of talked about it briefly, because I told you I went back and I watched that match just because I was, for whatever reason, on an Undertaker kick. Hogan, the only thing he really no-sold that pissed me off was the tombstone. Like, it took 2 tombstones to beat Hogan, and didn't even sell the first one. So I wouldn't want him pulling any of that shit here. I think you could even tell a story, because what I've loved about the story they told with The Undertaker while we're on that subject...
I mean, if he were to no-sell his sister Abigail, and by no-sell, quote-unquote, I mean just kick out of, I wouldn't despise it, because that move's already been kind of nerfed. His real finisher is the Mandible Claw to me.
Right. Yeah. When we're on the subject of The Undertaker, I love the story that they told with him, especially when Brock beat him, that he is older, that everybody's hourglass runs out, and this and that. If you tell that story with Hulk fucking Hogan, who, like, Now, maybe it won't have the same effect because of the leaks and like everything that's been
Well,
out.
and that was the thing with me too, and that's the reason why I think that the match is going to happen, because Bray put him on his fucking wall.
Yeah, yeah.
That
so
shit does not happen with just anybody. That happens when we're getting a match.
Yeah, yeah. See, because again, I think if you make it quick, it's great. I think the promos could be great, especially from Bray, because it'd be a carry job. Worry.
Even just tonight, I think Hogan sold Bray really well with the way that he just like got all uncomfortable and he was just like, all right, Michael, I'm going to get going. Like trying to play it off. I thought that was really well done.
Dude, I got to say too, while we're just talking about that segment before I reorient my thoughts back to a potential Fiend Hogan matchup, the fucking NWO parody at the beginning where he does the shirt tear and he makes like the belt, the guitar like Hogan used to do. Like,
dude, I loved that. So I was living for that. Yes.
I mean, guys, I hate these fucking Saudi shows. And yeah, Bray is a carny because he fucking won the Universal title at a Saudi show, which I still can't get the taste of that out of my mouth. But can we all just acknowledge, like, he's so fucking good at this, though? Like, I can't even, like, I want to be mad at times because it's like, oh, bro, why? Yeah. But, like, he's so good. It's like, well, this is what they mean.
There's a lot of AJ Styles to Bray Wyatt.
There really is, because it's like, well, this is what it means to divorce the art from the artist. Yeah. Because I can't help but do it with him. Yeah. This is because Hogan used to talk about like, oh, I want to work with John Cena, or I want to do all this. This is the only Hogan match you could get me giving a shit about, and that's because I know the Fiend would go over. And another thing,
dude, how great is that? Like, if Hulk fucking Hogan were to wrestle one more match in his career, and it would be against Bray Wyatt of all people, not only would that be the hugest endorsement from the WWE being like, okay with that being a thing, and knowing that like Bray gets all this attention on YouTube and really trying to make him the biggest deal. But that's even an endorsement from Hogan himself, because they're not going to put him against someone that he doesn't want to work with. That's got to be him handpicking someone.
I mean, this is a guy that wouldn't even want to lose one match to Shawn Michaels. Yeah. And yet all this time later, if he puts over the Fiend, like that's huge. And dude, here's the thing,
bro, too, imagine Hogan though. They teased them tonight. And then they're just like, so Hogan, you're still on for putting over the Fiend at Crown Jewel 4, right? And Hogan's just like, oh, that finish doesn't work for brother.
Jesus Christ. That is another thing that scares me, but I don't think Hogan has nearly the clout that he used to. So they'd be like, well, Hogan, if that doesn't work for you, then you don't work for us. Get out.
It's because here's the 40-year work, brother.
Here's the thing, not to be a dick, although I'm totally going to be right now, the best thing, because it was all fucking trash, but the best thing about those Hogan leaks from a wrestling perspective is that, like, Hogan, I feel like, needs all the good press he can get. So, like, he's in a position where he needs the WWE more than they need Hogan. So it's like, if you don't want to do business with us, well, good luck getting positive press elsewhere from anybody that'll have you. So, I do like that I feel like finally WWE has Hogan by the balls and not vice versa. That said, I also did want to say, what I like about this match, if it goes the way that we would intend it to, again, Fiend going over, blah, 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 it would be the perfect bounce back for the Fiend after presumably losing the Universal title to Roman at Mania. Because I'm not even 100% convinced that he is going to lose to Roman, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. First, Roman has to get contendership. We're not even there yet. So we'll revisit that conversation for WrestleMania preview predictions. But in the moment, I'm not entirely convinced that the Fiend would even lose. But if he does, either he does and it's the perfect bounce back for him, like I killed Hulkamania, or he doesn't, Hogan tries for that one more magical run, pretty much replicating the story of 2002. Yeah. But it's probably even more vulnerable because he's older,
because it's time, 2 decades later.
Yeah, it's 2 decades later almost. And, and he doesn't do it. And then it's like, look at all this fucking heat that I got. And I denied you all your fairy tale run one more time with the Hulkster. So it works either way. And that's what I love about it. Like, I do see Bray benefiting from this, where normally I want to keep young talent or young-ish talent that's like...
is Bray even 32 yet?
I feel like he's like 35 or 36 now.
He is 32.
Oh, he's only 32? Holy fuck. Okay. Yeah. So, like, I
think he and Drew are both 32. Drew McIntyre's 34. Wow, Drew is actually older than Bray. I did not realize that.
I didn't realize that either, dude. Holy fuck.
I think Roman is 32 as well. Isn't he? Oh, he's 34. So Roman and Drew are the same age. They're both 34. And Bray is 2 years younger than both of them.
Wow. But yeah, just ultimately, I do think this would be good for Bray. I love the fucking promo tonight, and like you said, I love the visible discomfort from the Hulkster.
Yep.
Actually putting Bray over, it was really great. I honestly, that was the highlight of the show to me, was that whole thing, and I can't believe it because I was even joking in the Discord about Hogan's interview. I thought he was going to talk about Super Showdown. Let me tell you how I'm going to make that blood money this time, brother. And it turned out to be this. So I'm between this and the glitching, which I think you said we were going to circle back to like later. SmackDown's making moves, man. I'm here for their confidence. See, this is the confidence in writing that I want to see. That I was kind of
glitching is going to be the
Lord.
penultimate thing that we talk about tonight.
Yeah. So let's move on to the next thing, I guess. What came after this?
Let's talk about, since we already kind of did talk about this week's main event, which involved Daniel Bryan. Last week, Daniel Bryan did something with Heath Slater, where he was watching The Fiend, or watching Bray Wyatt talk to Bill Goldberg on a monitor. And then Heath Slater walked in and told him that he was worried about him, and he was talking about all the shit that The Fiend has done to him, and tells him that picking a strap match was kind of stupid. And Bryan challenges Slater to a match. They get a match. Bryan obviously wins with the bell lock, actually. And that's pretty much all that was. So if you have anything to say about that, cool. If not, we can move on.
We could just move on.
Last week, Braun Strowman celebrated his Intercontinental Championship win in the ring. Zayn and Nakamura came out, and they said that the win was fraudulent, and Zayn demanded a rematch. And then Strowman said that he would defend the title whenever and wherever, and that he wants to do it now, but Zayn said not now, but soon. Sammy said that they're all going to use all of their available resources, and then the Revival came out and attacked Strowman from behind. And Nakamura and Zayn joined in, and we got like the 4-on-1. But Braun fought his way out of the corner, chased Zayn around the ring, and then Nakamura caught him with a knee strike. And Nakamura floored Strowman with a Kinshasa! So that was that whole thing. But again, then we get to this week, and really we didn't see Nakamura or Braun. I don't remember. Actually, we did see Braun. He came out and made the save, but it was mostly just the Elias, Cesaro, Sami Zayn show. We already talked about that, so we don't have to go over it again.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess we can just move on, because I really like that.
Yeah. So then I think, what else do we have to talk about for this week? Anything? Oh! We got to talk about this. Otis and Mandy.
Yeah, man. Otis still tugging at the heartstrings of people. A lot of people on
Ziggler,
Twitter were heartbroken.
Son of a bitch.
God, and I even said in the Discord, like, I thought he was going to beat Otis up and try and take his place and make it seem like, oh, see, Mandy, Otis isn't interested in you. But he didn't even need to beat him up because Otis was, like, a bit late. Like, Mandy got there before him. And then Dolph took his spot. Oh, man. So I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm actually looking forward to the Otis-Dolph singles match.
Well, yeah, because Otis has to just kill him.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would be interesting, though, if Otis beat Dolph so bad that Mandy had to come to Dolph's rescue and, like, beg Otis off and be like, no, you're hurting him. Stop, back off. And we could get, like, a weird story with that.
Yeah.
Where it would be like Mandy seemed like, God, this actually, fuck, this reminds me of a fucking, who was it? An Al Snow storyline that he pitched on an episode of Guest Booker, where the whole goal is to like build up to, I think like a bump or like a betrayal or something like that. But like you get Mandy starting to side with Ziggler, but then like you start to see in little backstage segments where there are like hints that he treats her like shit basically, or maybe like he's cheating on her and like flirting with other girls and stuff. And it all builds up to eventually Otis kind of winning the girl back. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I see what you're saying, man.
I think they might be going in that direction too. I don't know. Because if I remember correctly, Al Snow's booking was more like, it felt more Attitude Era-y. Like it was more like, oh, the girl betrays the babyface team and hooks up with the heel guys and helps them beat the babyface team at every corner, and eventually it leads to the babyface team bumping the girl. And it was supposed to be like this big deal that like, oh, you can't hit girls, but she deserved it kind of thing. But with this, I think they would go with more of like a sweet kind of cathartic payoff where Otis wins Mandy back, you know?
Yeah, probably. You're probably right about that, because I think that's what people want to see.
Yeah.
And I feel like that catharsis is definitely coming, because she hasn't really been malicious, but neither has Otis. Really, the only malicious party right now is Dolph.
Dolph fucking Ziggler.
Which, who knows? Maybe Sonya will also become malicious, which I'm not really a fan of that. I hope they don't go that route.
She
but
wants to
see.
keep Mandy to herself, man.
Yeah. So we'll see
Would
what
it
happens.
be as bad if she wasn't malicious because she wanted Mandy to herself and she was just malicious because she just liked Dolph more than Otis? Like she's buying into vanity and she thinks that Otis is kind of gross and Dolph is...
And like in her way looking out for Mandy.
Yeah, like she
yeah.
thinks like, you know, look at the optics of Mandy Rose with a guy like Otis does versus like, you know, the fucking homecoming king and queen, Dolph Ziggler and Mandy Rose. It looks a lot better from Sonya's point of view. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I could see that happening. And I don't think that there would be as much of a problem with that as there would be if it was just her trying to keep Mandy to herself.
Yeah, I could see where you're coming from. That could be. I think, you know, we got to take it one step at a time. The next logical step to me has got to be the Dolph Otis one-on-one matchup, and I do hope like Otis destroys him.
It should be next week. It should be this coming week. Yeah, there's no reason to hold off on it, unless they're like they book it up and they just forget like, oh shit, we have this match. We don't want to, you know, rush it, so we'll just have it the following week. But like, there's no real reason other than that. Which, like, seriously, it should be at the forefront because it's literally the third last thing we're talking about, and I try and keep things in order of importance. You know, it should be at the forefront. It should be something that really they should have probably advertised it. And at the very least, they should advertise it on like social media between now and next Friday.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you just said, and I've got nothing else to add. So if you want to move on, we can.
Although, you know what? Maybe that would be escalating it too quickly because Otis might not necessarily be angry at Dolph. Maybe he feels more heartbroken right now, and he doesn't know that Dolph maliciously kind of stepped in and stole the date from him. Maybe he thinks like there's a chance that, you know, because, you know, as a bigger guy myself, we come with a lot of insecurity. Maybe he feels like Mandy just kind of was kind of playing with him. It was kind of tagging him along and was leading him on, and she was really interested in Dolph the whole time, and he doesn't want to try and go after Dolph right away until he gets the whole story, you know?
Yeah, honestly, that seems more likely because we even knew the doubts that Otis had before the date, where he's like, Tucky, you know, do you think a guy like me can relate, or do you think like Mandy like really likes me, or I forget how he phrased it, but he said, you know, pretty much like admitting, I think to a degree, those insecurities. So yeah, I think that narrative beat is far more likely given what we've seen. And yeah, I honestly, like you talking about that and you just being like, oh, you know, as a guy that's like Otis in that way, I feel like they'd be smart to kind of go that route because clearly it's like it's speaking to people on some way. Like I wonder how many other people are like, man, I feel you, Otis. It's hard out there, you know, like that kind of thing. And I think that's beautiful. That's what wrestling is at its best. It's relatable on some level. I talked about that when Brian was having his big ascent, like this whole, you know, feeling like you can't do anything, but then wanting to prove everybody wrong and having all this passion. Like I identified with that given my childhood. Like I think wrestling's at its best when you can see yourself in it, even if it's like the most fantastical thing going. And this is actually pretty grounded, which I think is another benefit that it has, all things considered, despite the schmaltz. So yeah, I think we got a good thing here. It's interesting for Dolph to be a part of a good thing, and I just can't wait for Dolph to like lose again because he failed to poach Nikki on Total Divas, and he's gonna fail to poach Mandy here. And you know, then when he's like, "Oh, I'll steal your girlfriend," no, because your track record says otherwise. You can't steal people that are already available. Remember when you hooked up with Amy Schumer? I don't think you stole her from anybody at the time. So yeah, it's getting late, and I'm starting to like turn up. You know how you and I do sometimes when it gets late. Like I feel that happening, and I just kind of want to body Dolph.
Dude,
like,
yeah. Like let's not forget Dolph's track record. Nikki, Dana Brooke, and Amy Schumer.
Yeah, here to show the world how much you suck. All right. What came after? I'm proud of myself for that one, even though I have no right to be. What's next? Came after this.
Let's talk about the glitches, man. Let's talk about the glitches.
Oh, dude, actually, can you indulge me for just a moment since we've already gone so late, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to pull up WWE's YouTube channel. I wanted to find a segment where one of the glitches appeared and see if they kept it in the YouTube video or if they kind of pulled a Fiend thing and they just didn't show it.
Yeah,
so let's
go for
see.
it, man. Go for it, for sure.
Okay, so there was a glitch when Elias walked out, right?
During his entrance, yeah, there was a glitch during his...
Okay.
And the other glitch was during the Carmella Bayley match, which is actually the last thing that we're going to talk about is the SmackDown Women's Division. We'll get around to that as soon as we're done talking about these glitches.
Okay, I don't think they showed it for the Elias matchup because they didn't show him coming out. They already showed him out on the YouTube clip.
Okay.
So let's see the Carmella Bailey matchup.
It was during a headlock.
It was during a headlock, huh? No, this seems like the 3 minutes that they got for this match, it already seems like we're beyond headlocks. So I don't think they're going to show the glitches here. Damn. Because I was wondering if they're going to. But then again, to be fair, on the YouTube channel, they didn't show the puppet sightings for weeks. They didn't start showing the puppet sightings until Rambling Rabbit showed up in like a Carmella Truth segment, and we just happened to see it because he was in the shop for so long. And that was already when the Fiend was close. So you know when they'll probably start acknowledging the glitches is when the debut is at hand. So that either tells me that we're probably going to be just a little bit.
I was really hoping that it would be like a one night thing where it would be like the person with the glitches just shows up and is immediately the tag team for Roman Reigns. But as time approached, I was like, oh yeah, you know what? It's probably just going to be Daniel Bryan, isn't it? And then it was.
You know what though? Kudos to SmackDown, man, because they got me for another week just for the glitches alone. They really do. Like I'm curious to see how this will play out. My question to you. Do you think this is actually going to be like a post-Mania thing, or do you think that this is going to lead into somebody having a match at Mania? Because if it's a post-Mania thing, I think that lends more credibility to being like a Killer Cross type. But if it is a Mania thing, man, I could see it being like a Sting, you know,
if it's, if it's a post-Mania thing, it's got to run for like 8 weeks. That'll kill me.
Yeah. Hell, at this rate, it'll kill me too, because I'm really curious. And it generated quite a bit of buzz on Twitter for people that caught it.
Yeah. Oh, man. I mean, it's not unlike WWE to drag something out for that long, but God, it's just gonna kill me inside.
Yeah.
I agree with you though. If they do drag it out that long and we don't get a reveal at WrestleMania, it probably will be on the post WrestleMania. Not even Raw. It'll be on the post WrestleMania SmackDown because it wasn't on Raw. I don't think there were glitches on Raw this week. It was just on SmackDown.
Yeah. Do you think it'll carry over into Raw, or do you think this is a purely SmackDown angle?
I don't really care because it started on SmackDown. So even if it does carry over into Raw, we'll still know that it started on SmackDown. So we'll still be pretty well convinced that SmackDown is where this person or people is going to end up being.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty well convinced that it's a DJ idea, but I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I'm really excited for it though, dude. Because like I'm tempering my expectations, and I'm saying to myself, it's probably Sting. Which that's not a diss at Sting. He seems like a sweetheart out of character. God knows he's a loyal company man. He was to WCW what Taker was to WWE. He was going down with the ship, same way Taker was with Vince. And I respect him for that. I really do. So I'm not trying to shit on Sting, especially when people thought he would never wrestle again after the Rollins match. That's cool. But I feel like when you get like cool vignettes like this or cool concepts like this, I always like when it goes to like a fresh talent, you know? And then it's like, oh, you were just re-debuting a legend. Yeah. That's cool. But like, I think you're just like me, where you're not like trying to hate on Sting.
Well,
it's just,
I mean, you already know I wanted to be Killer Cross and Scarlett Bordeaux as a couple because one of the glitches happened during a women's match and the other glitch happened during a dude's entrance. So like, I'm already putting the pieces together of like one dude, one female. Hopefully it's a couple. And the only couple that I could see it being that would be heelish enough for it to require these glitches that could also kind of play off of like the supernatural vibe that Bray Wyatt brings is Killer Cross.
God, and isn't that the beauty of wrestling fan? Because we always fucking do this, dude. We always felt like you had that amazing blog post, but I still fucking remember because it got an insane response of like the analysis of the 2012 promos from Jericho at the time.
Yeah, but I was right though.
I mean, you did this whole, and it was Jericho, obviously, but I think a lot of people guessed Jericho. But I was talking more about how like you unpacked each thing in the meaning, and then Jericho even said in the interview like, oh, they were just vignettes, man. They were just meant to be creepy. Us with the Firefly Funhouse and the puppets. Oh, they're stalking fathers. Oh, well, they're stalking people that Bray has a history with, which, you know, he is going after people he has history with. So technically, like, I guess I have a point.
Yep.
But, you know, we always, like, unpack. I just don't want us to get too ahead of ourselves at the same time.
I know. It's so hard. Dude, I've seen people being like, Return of Solomon Crow and everything. Like, oh, don't do this to me again. Just let them come out and do their thing and just rip the Band-Aid off now. Come on, WWE.
Yeah.
Don't drag this out for 8 goddamn weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know they will, too, because there's precedent. I mean, how fucking long did Emelina and shit go on?
17 weeks.
Yeah, so 8 weeks is nothing to them. That's a fucking cakewalk for them.
No.
For us, it's agony.
But I feel like Emelina was an outlier, though. They don't ever drag shit out for that long. It's usually a month.
Okay, so a month, and then but see, though, a month you're a lot closer to Mania. I feel like, even though
Well,
Mania is in April.
yeah, I was gonna say, like, if we would, if we would get 4 of these glitch vignette nights, it would be tonight, next Friday, the following Friday, and then the following Friday, and then 2 days after that would be Elimination Chamber. So this, whoever this is, they could debut either at Elimination Chamber or the SmackDown after Elimination Chamber, and it would make perfect sense. Or hell, they've liked debuting people on go home shows lately. They could debut on the go home show to Elimination Chamber. I could see that happening even.
Yeah.
If we go into the final SmackDown with empty slots in the men's chamber, that's who it's going to be. It's going to be Glitch, whoever that is.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't think I would get you thinking this much. Okay.
Well, no, yeah, because I'm just, yeah, because it's either going to be, I don't want to say a disappointment because that makes me sound like an asshole, but it's either going to be a legend that it's like, oh, okay, I get it, or it's going to be again that young talent that we're like, oh my god, fuck yes, like, oh my god, this imagination behind it. And I'm just thinking about like the timeline between how long the vignette should run for and when they're going to debut, so that it makes Mania still feel hype. Yeah, I like the timeline you set up with, like, kind of coinciding with Chamber and stuff like that. That works because I think Elimination Chamber is March 8th. I want to say.
Yes. Yep, that's exactly right.
Yeah, March 8th. Look at me fucking go right now.
You are so on point tonight. I'm so proud of you.
Your face and really just your general existence, just so that there's no ambiguity, is perpetually on point. Yeah, man, I just don't want it to be a disappointment, I think is my thing. So if it coincides with Chamber, I'm cool with that. Especially, God, if it would be like, can you imagine a fucking Killer Cross just getting a huge opportunity like that right out of the gate? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
If it is a legend, happy for the people that are fans of them, I guess, is how I'll put it. But for me, that's always kind of forward thinking. Who's the next big talent going to be? What can we do with this guy? What can we do with this girl? What can we do with, whatever? It's going to be a blow because I'm going to be like, fuck me, we were so close. And then it just amounted to that. So I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, dude, I immediately it hooked me. Like, I'm already looking forward to next week. I'm looking forward to when the glitches take place, how many there will be. Because I think, too, I wanted to ask you this, since you've already kind of done the dive, like, oh, one was a women's match, one was the men's segment. Were they separated by hours? Because I could swear that one was the first hour, because we know Carmella and Bayley was the first hour.
That was one of the first things that actually happened, but I think that the second one also happened in the first hour, wasn't it?
See, and I'm not sure because I feel like they did one per hour, which convinced me even more that it was an angle.
Well, we'll get to this as soon as we're done talking about this, but we had a moment of bliss, and then immediately the women's championship match, and then we had Shorty G and Apollo versus Sheamus, and then the Hogan Goldberg thing, but then immediately we went into Sami Zayn and Cesaro. But you know what though? I feel like, I think you're right. I think it was in the second hour because I'm seeing here that as soon as this whole segment with Sami and Cesaro and Elias and Strowman ended, we got the really quick ending, like the conclusion to the Otis Mandy Dolph thing, and then immediately into the main event. And that main event started at like 9:32 or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, it totally happened in the second hour. Yeah, so it is once per hour.
Yeah, it's totally an angle because I know some people were even like, oh, maybe it was just like, and it's an old thing. No, this was fucking deliberate. I even thought the first time was a mistake, honestly, or like a weird technical thing. But then when it happened again, I'm like, okay, something's fucking happening here. I can't wait. I can't fucking wait. Bring on next week because I wonder too if it's gonna be like, because that's another thing too, dude. I wanted to share this with you. Somebody, I can't do it now because I think it would take too much time, and we've already gone so long, and I don't want dead air. But when you and I are offline, remind me. I feel like somebody tried highlighting like part of the static, like almost they could make out a shape or something.
No, so I saw that tweet and I saw the response where they were like, "Hey, this looks like figures." I don't see it at all.
Okay, but I'm wondering though if it'll progress to that point, or if it's just going to be like a glitch is just a glitch, and you're going to know when everybody else knows, kind of thing. But you know what though, dude? I love that people are playing with it. Like, that's how you know it's a success, when you've got people actually fucking talking about this and already coming up with theories. I mean, we've already devoted a good bit of time to it. Like, this shit's working. This
I
shit's
know
fucking working.
people are talking about Cena making a return. When is that supposed to be? That's the 28th.
Yeah, that's
February
yeah.
28th.
Yeah, that's what I thought I heard. Yeah, February 28th is what I thought I heard.
Yeah, I wonder if that'll be like the thing. Like someone will show up and attack Cena.
Ooh. Because I know Just Alex. I remember to call him by a proper name this time. He's like, oh, I would love Joe versus Cena at Mania. I feel like that ship sailed. I feel like that match should have been done when Joe was U.S. champion.
Well, and
it
plus
didn't.
Joe's on Raw and Cena's coming back on SmackDown. That makes no sense.
And Joe's a babyface currently.
Yeah.
And I don't want that babyface run to end because we've already talked about heels that like exhaust their territory.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where Joe's at present. So yeah, that's out. But that being the end, like, yeah.
Oh, Killer fucking Cross debuting by attacking John Cena, skipping NXT entirely. Holy fuck, that'd be a lot.
Oh god, we've gone so late, and I feel like it's gonna give me like an adrenaline rush because my pants just shrunk thinking about it. Like instantly made. And wouldn't be the first time John Cena put over a guy on their debut. That's how Carlito won his first U.S. title, was beating John Cena.
Kevin Owens.
Kevin Owens. There's precedent, both historical and more recent. That could happen, dude. Killer Cross versus John Cena. That's totally on the table. Because would you agree with me that you feel like Killer Cross is one of the hotter prospects, like at least in American wrestling right now?
Dude, I've been saying since before he even signed with WWE that to me, he should skip NXT entirely. He should go straight to WWE, Raw or SmackDown. I've also been saying that I think that he makes more sense on Raw, but if they're going to debut him against John Cena, fuck yeah, put him on SmackDown.
Yeah, dude, oh my god. Yeah, I just got excited all over again because, yeah, it started tonight, which was the 14th, which means they would run for exactly like 2 more weeks.
Well, 3 episodes, though.
Yeah, 3 episodes. That should be good enough, though. Yeah, let's do it. Let's fucking do it. Let's do John Cena versus Killer Cross. And then when it doesn't happen, I can cry in my own lap because it didn't happen. And we can all just be disappointed together. Oh, man. Everything's so great. Everything's so great. Oh, man. Do you have anything else you want to say about this? Because I feel like that was the high point of the discussion. I don't even want to talk about it anymore for fear of just, like, taking away from it. Like, that's just perfect fucking sense to me.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
Well, then, you know what? Let's get into our women's division discussion then. Because last week, and I'm trying to focus on last week now. We got, let's see, let me find the first thing on last week. Here we go. We had the Fatal 4-Way Women's Championship #1 contendership match. So it was Naomi, Alexa Bliss, Dana Brooke, and Carmella, which Carmella won, but then Bayley attacked Carmella. And that actually main evented last week's show. I really feel like SmackDown's doing a great job with their women's division right now. Tonight, the women's division felt really important on SmackDown.
Yes, it did.
And last week it main evented, so it obviously is important.
Yeah. Dude, Moment of Bliss was okay. Right.
That was this week. That was this week. I'm talking about last week, the Fatal 4-Way #1.
Oh, right. I'm sorry, because like that whole discussion. Okay, so I got to reorient myself a little bit. So yeah, Fatal 4-Way was great. I didn't like that Naomi ate the pin, honestly, in the Fatal 4-Way. That was like the only nitpick.
Why else is Dana Brooke in this match if not to eat the pin?
Pre-fucking-cisely, fam. Pre-fucking-cisely. Because Naomi came back so hot, dude. Like, the look, the crowd response, everything. To have her eat a pin immediately, especially, too, because the week prior to that, I think, was when she had the confrontation with Bayley. And then you're going to have her eat the pin when she's been actively confronting Bayley more than Dana Brooke. Again, I don't want to get angry, but it just makes no fucking sense, like, at all. Like, it's just, again, one of those little nitpick booking decisions that I do not understand for the life of me. But the match itself was fine, again, until the finish. And then you get this week. Moment of Bliss was fine. I thought the high point was Bayley's promo, and I know you agree with me because I know you were raving on the Discord how like her promo work as a
dude.
Like,
I even tweeted about how much Bayley's promos have improved. Her promo chops have improved over the last year or so.
Yeah, dude, immensely. I believe what she says. It seems like she believes what she says.
I think that's what makes the difference is that I feel like she's speaking from the heart. Not necessarily the putting down the rest of the girls in the division part, but more just talking about how like she is the top of the division. She's making the division relevant. She's, no one can touch her, that kind of stuff. Like when she's talking about herself, I think she's finally found that confidence where she truly believes it. And I almost have to wonder if she never or if she ever didn't have that confidence, but that she just suppressed it because she was just that good at being the vulnerable babyface.
Yeah, yeah. I like that mindset that she suppressed it because she was so good in the role that she was in at the time. But now all bets are off.
Yeah.
And I love this Bayley with this swagger that she's feeling herself, and she's untouchable. And she even said like nobody can touch, like I'm untouchable, nobody can touch me. It's amazing. And then Mella saying, well, let me put my money where my mouth is. Let's do it right now. And then those two go on to me to have a great match. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I'll go on record as saying I enjoyed it more than Becky Asuka from Monday, mainly because I like the counters, I like the back and forth, and just something about that match. Like I always knew Becky was going to win, if for no other reason because of her spot in the company. Bayley Carmella managed to successfully create hope spots that I believe that Carmella might actually pull off the upset.
Wow.
And like have Bayley like losing.
Yeah, when she had her locked into the code of silence there towards the end, I was like, oh my God, this is like one of the most protected moves in the company, and Bayley managed to escape it.
Yeah. Yeah. The finish was good because it protects Carmella. I love the back and forth between the two.
And I also love the post-match where Bayley attacks Carmella, Naomi hits the ring, gets in Bayley's face, and then Mella goes after Bayley. And we get like almost like a 2-on-1 beatdown, but it's really just showing like Carmella, even though she quote unquote lost this match, she knows that she's not done with Bayley. She knows that she got cheated out of that match and that she should, still be in the title picture. And she even talked about it later on in a promo.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love the way that they are handling these three right now. Because then after the 2-on-1 beatdown with Carmella and Naomi beating down Bayley, and then they kind of nod at each other like that nod of approval. We do get Bayley backstage talking about how she just beat Carmella like she beat everyone else, and next time she defends her title, it'll be at Super Showdown. So, dude, we're getting another women's match on another Saudi show. And this time, it looks like it's going to be two actual deserving women rather than fucking Natalya and Lacey.
Yeah, definitely. And I know that they're probably going to have to adhere to a dress code like Natalya and Lacey did. I just hope that they're still able to give the match. Like, if you really want to, like, push the envelope, because I don't even feel like that Natalya-Lacey match lasted that long, give these women some time. I'm not talking about, like, a fucking 30-minute, whatever, but give them enough time.
Just give them, like, 15, 12.
Yeah, exactly. 12 minutes to go A, B, and C. That's all I really needed. But to go from A, B, and C in a leisurely, like, fun way, not like, oh, we got to get in and get out and then brag about it later and do a big press release. Yep. No, do the fucking match. Yeah. Chiefin said rematch at Super Showdown, Naomi and Chamber. Well, we know that that next week Carmella and Naomi are having their match to see who goes to Super Showdown.
Well, it's not even a rematch. That's just a first-time match in a while.
Well, yeah, no, but I think what Chiefin means is, do we give Carmella the rematch at Super Showdown and save Naomi for Chamber?
No, I think that Naomi's going to win it, and she's going to be Bayley's opponent at Super Showdown.
Yeah, and then personally, I think that Bayley might even defend the title in
the chamber.
In the chamber.
Yeah, the closer we get, and the way that they're kind of shooting off these women's championship matches rapid fire on SmackDown makes me feel the same way. It makes me feel like, because Bayley's burning through contenders so quickly, they almost have to put her in the chamber with the title on the line.
Yeah, the only thing that disappoints me about a SmackDown chamber is I just feel like Dana Brooke is going to be kind of like the R-Truth spot where she'll get a pod. She probably won't last that long, but she'll get a spot. And but maybe Sasha will get a spot too, and that fascinates me.
That's I think Mark, if Mark was here, he would be just shouting from the rooftops like, yes, Sasha and Bayley both need to be in the chamber, because he wants Bayley to betray Sasha in the chamber.
Yes. And dude, and this has got to be a great comfort to Mark, because Bayley just saying like, I'm untouchable and this and that, like, that's going to have to grind on Sasha eventually.
Yep.
For how supportive she is of Bayley, like, I would even love, and I think Sasha could pull it off because I definitely think she's talented enough. If it was like, maybe she would give like an eye roll, or she would have just some kind of a look each time. Like each time it just bothers her more and more until it just blows up.
Yep.
Like,
God,
Fuck yeah.
you're making me realize that Sasha hasn't been on TV in a while, and I miss her.
I know, dude. I know. But when she comes back and she makes that kind of statement, yeah, it's going to be amazing. I really feel like the women, particularly on SmackDown, right now, we don't know when we're going to reach an ebb. Like, right now, we're at the high point. We don't know when the next low ebb is going to come, but right now, it's fucking working for me. Carmella and Bayley, I have to tip my hat to them. They had a great fucking match. I feel like a women's chamber could be really good because Bayley's in her stride right now. And yeah, once you really get Sasha back in the mix,
Yeah,
it really gets like even better. So just I'm so happy, dude. It's just good shit.
yeah.
Uh
All right. I also almost wonder, because we're not going to be doing anything for Super Showdown. We're not even going to be doing preview predictions, so I'm okay with saying this. I almost wonder if Naomi might beat Bayley for the title at Super Showdown, because they've already done a women's match at Saudi Arabia, or in Saudi Arabia. Now they're going to do a championship match, but I wonder if they're going to go right through with having a championship change hands in that women's championship match.
that would be big. That would be big.
That could also drive Bayley to the point of madness, to which would be her breaking point and the point that would allow her or motivate her to betray Sasha in the chamber, like that desperation.
Yeah. I mean, I think it could work because while I would hate for somebody as talented as Naomi to be a transitional champion, at least she'd get another run and she'd do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And she would do it on a stage where, like, again, they keep making that quote unquote, progress, in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
And I know Naomi personally would be very proud of that, as she should be. And then you transition back to Bayley. Or let me just remind me again, did you say, like, Bayley would regain, or would you have Sasha? Or, well, you said, like, Bayley would betray Sasha, so that would imply that Sasha probably wouldn't get close enough to the title. So I'm guessing Bayley would regain in the chamber. And then you do Bayley, Sasha at Mania, right?
Yep.
And then Sasha wins the title at Mania, gets her Mania moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That all sounds fucking great to me.
I mean,
Or
it's
again,
a little hot potato-y, but they could pull it off.
Yeah, or you could just have Bayley run straight through, Sasha gets sick of it, and then she steps up. Like, either way, you have two clear paths to Sasha Bayley. That's twice the reason to just not be stubborn and, like, not do it. Commit to the matchup pretty much. So, yeah, good shit, man. Let's hope they don't drop the ball now.
All right. Well, I think the only thing that we really have left to talk about is just the two promos by the challengers, which Carmella demanded a rematch against Bayley, and later on in the night, Naomi cut a promo talking about how she wants the title, and that kind of set up the championship number one contendership match for next week. So yeah, we've already kind of talked about all that too. So I think we've covered everything, man. I think we're done.
Awesome. So I guess now all that's left is high spots and low shots.
Oh.
So my low shot, I'm going to say my low shot is Carmella because she won contendership. A contendership ain't nothing unless you can go all the way with it and take the title. And she didn't tonight. So I'm going to say Mella wasn't Monday tonight. And I'm going to say Carmella's my low shot. So what about you?
Yeah, that's definitely fair. I think my low shot is going to be Bobby Lashley, actually, because over the 2 weeks that we're covering here, he was in a championship, number one contendership opportunity match and got pinned in that match, and then talked some shit talking about how it was a fluke, but then got pinned in a one-on-one match against the same dude the next week.
Yeah, I can totally see your reasoning there.
Way to make a damn fool of yourself, Bobo.
Yeah, ew.
Dude, I miss fucking Rusev. Why are they keeping Bobby Lashley on TV and not Rusev? I want Rusev.
Maybe he's quietly serving a suspension too. We don't know.
Shit.
But what was I gonna say? Moving right along. High spot.
Mm-hmm. I have one in mind.
I have one too, and I don't want to take it from you. If we're thinking the same guy,
we're probably. Ooh, if you, yeah, maybe you. I don't know.
I was just gonna say Ricochet.
Oh, go ahead. Fine, take it.
Oh, awesome. Because yeah, he's got a WWE title match.
Yeah, and that's very fair. Very fair.
Brock historically has struggled against smaller guys, so I don't even think it's going to be a squash match, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, the smaller guys that Brock has struggled against are all like super credible though. Like Daniel Bryan, former multiple-time world champion, AJ Styles, former world champion, Finn Balor, former Universal champion. Like they all have that credibility. Ricochet doesn't. I do expect a squash match, or at least a short match. Like we were talking about, keep Goldberg Bray under 5 minutes. I think they're probably going to do the same thing with Lesnar Ricochet.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, Ricochet's my high spot. Who's your high spot?
My high spot is Angel Garza, baby.
Damn. I love it.
Bro, the 2 episodes that we're covering here, he got called up to the main roster. He beat down Rey Mysterio to the point that they basically had to call him off because he was he did the Hammerlock DDT to Rey, and they basically wrote him off TV. And then this week he picked up a win over Cedric Alexander. Like, Angel Garza has had the most meteoric rise over the last 2 weeks out of anyone in the roster.
That's very true. I think you make an excellent case. I was more just saying, well, because I love that pick.
Dude,
I love that.
Like, thank you, Andrade, for opening up this spot for Angel Garza, and I can't wait for you to get back so you can team up together.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. So I guess that's it. I guess
so. Yeah. I feel really good after this. We've had a really good night tonight.
Dude, it was so good. We went just under 3 hours.
Yeah.
In fact, my outro is probably going to take us to that 3-hour mark. But anyway,
we've actually only been live for 2 hours and 50 minutes, so I don't think you're going to go 10 minutes. So we'll still be under 3 hours.
Okay, well that's good at least. But yeah, man, we really did the fucking thing.
Yeah.
We really exhausted a lot of conversations, and I loved all of them. And a lot of them were
One
especially
could
passionate.
say that we went to distance.
I don't even know where I am anymore. I apologize,
That was
everyone.
silly, and I love you for it.
I probably shouldn't have a live mic, and yet here we are.
You deserve all the live mics.
Oh my God, thank you.
I want to hack into the cable companies and just put you on television forever.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Fuck the FCC.
Yeah.
But
they just won't let me be.
Exactly. But yeah, what was I going to say? Oh yes. The outro. That's what I do. But before that, let's see. It's Friday. We have nothing tomorrow, right?
No, we don't have anything tomorrow, but then Sunday's a double dip, baby. Because we're going to have Stardom. We could do Stardom tomorrow, but you've got your family day, so we're going to just save it for Sunday. We'll do our double dip on Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern time for Stardom, then 7 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be doing live reactions to take over Portland.
Yeah, see that I might actually be more hyped for that than Stardom, honestly. And I've been loving Stardom lately.
Well, yeah, it is like a kind of a filler show for Stardom. Like it's one of those like 6-match cards. The main event is an 8-woman tag. That kind of, or I think it's actually a 6-woman tag. It's Stars versus DDM is the main event.
Oh, okay.
Remember, it's Mayu, Arisa, and Kamitani versus DDM.
Kamitani getting that main event rub.
Yeah.
You'll love to see it. So yeah, guys, you heard it there. We're going to be doing a doubleheader tomorrow. When are we going live with Stardom on Sunday? I'm guessing 4 o'clock?
Yep, 4.
All right, 4 o'clock Sunday, and then Takeover Portland, you guys know, is 8. So with
7.
that said, 7. Sorry, I don't know why. With Sunday, I just think 8 because pretty sure whatever. But yeah, it's weird Takeover even being on a Sunday, by the way. Yeah, but regardless, so that's 8. Stardom's 4. That's 8.
That's
okay,
7.
We all know. 7. God damn it. Stardom's 4. That's 7. You're Ashton. I'm John. This is all bullshit. Yeah. So let's get the fuck out here. Yeah. Okay. Cause fuck me now. I'm starting to lose it here. All right. I'm John. That's my core and commentary, Ashton. That's your fucking identity. I know that for certain. Yeah. And this has been TWitWoW, WWE Catch-Up Commentary, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. Guys, be sure to comment on the video after it's done processing if you have thoughts about everything that we said here. You guys were amazing in the live chat. Chiefin laughing at my botches here. I see you, Chiefin. I see you. Fucking don't think I see it. But if you guys have any further thoughts or thoughts on thoughts about what we said here, feel free to comment after the video is done processing. The more likes you give it, the more likely it could be shared by YouTube. And let's be honest, people, YouTube needs our content in its life. And everybody that uses YouTube, they could probably use our content in their lives too. They say that they won't, but they do. So yeah, click the like button, make sure it's shared. able, especially because you want to make Ashton a millionaire 2020, liking the video definitely goes a long way towards that cause. Be sure to click the bell icon for notifications, and of course the subscribe button so that you never miss any of that sweet TWitWoW content, including me right now, utterly, spiraling live on air. All of our social media is in the background, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, Patreon, all that good stuff. And it's in the description so you can all surf it for yourselves. And we will see you Sunday at 4 for Stardom. And then we will see you again at 7. Yes. Fuck you for TakeOver Portland live reactions. So until then, I would say tune in and peace out, but I need to take my advice more than anybody. So tune in, guys, chill the fuck out, and just be the peace. Be the peace, everyone. So goodbye and good night.